than Jonathan. Oh, okay. Your Twitter handle's really creepy comedy. You got that?
I can't see that at all. Why would you? It was almost like when you said you can follow us, it's like almost like you didn't know how to talk normal for a second. Like all he was trying to do was scary.
So, you have any other gigs coming up? Where else can people find you other than through the bedroom window?
Can I come in? You can go to my website at creepycomedy.com. I'm in Tucson at the end of this month. I'm in
Jail?
2
months.
He would be a good jail entertainment.
Yeah. Jonathan, did you not eat today? I mean, you are eating this free pizza. That, by the way, these guys are known for like old, weird, dirty props. So we don't even. Today, this from I saw them use a shark.
This was an elaborate scheme, and he's actually one of Jeff Dunham's puppets.
Anyway, you ever go to Louis Anderson's website? You can pay for the after hours, like $4.99 and extra for a month. He has like webcams and stuff. Yeah, it's way worse than Jeff Dunham's website. No,
That's what we're watching now.
Sure. Jonathan, how come you don't have the ring if you're married? Where's the wife at? She's in Tucson?
Scottsdale.
What does she do for work?
She's a manager.
Of a what?
She manages boxers.
I mean, you can't have a ring on with this persona. It would just ruin it. She's a counselor.
A manager and a counselor? This is getting
You're not married. This is your fucking therapist.
Yeah.
It's a very close relationship.
She's my counselor, and she manages when my next appointment is.
So big. She works for her company. She deals with children just based on. She helps all of them. The kids that don't have a home to go to. And my wife is there for them.
Great.
And when they come to your wife and they go, the scariest thing happened. This guy came up to me today screaming, asked me if I had any extra food in my lunchbox.
Yeah, she sets up a table right outside of his shows, and people just see him and then go and register with her afterwards.
Love that.
It's quick. This guy, like, regardless of all this, he's right in the pocket right now, so I can appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, totally. Jonathan, I love your fucking style, man. How much material like that do you think you have in that dark tone type of thing? Like, how much have you built?
Enough to get paid in Tucson.
Yeah, that's true. So, 4.5 minutes. How long do you say you could do?
No, I do 8 bucks. Headline. I can see.
Well, there you go. Jonathan, it was very nice to meet you. You're a very cool guy. Follow him on Twitter, Creepy Comedy. Go to creepycomedy.com. Whoa, no touching, no touching. Oh, Jesus. Michael, what is your problem?
You want to throw me a I shook his hand.
Mike's throwing us all under buses tonight. Shakes his hand, puts his arms around me for a hug.
I shouldn't have brought up the sword.
Definitely.
Yeah, he's an out the closest. I'm fucking.
Well, yeah, that's why I felt comfortable.
I wasn't even saying anything, and I was like, he's gonna kill me first.
Just don't look him in the eye. I didn't look him in the eye once. He didn't even touch me once. That's how you do it.
But listen, I understand why he didn't have his ring on. You can't have a ring with that persona. And he's got like conditioner in his hair. You know, and he's well taken care of.
He's got like a Live Strong bracelet on. He's like,
There you go. I told you anything could happen. You know this guy's a few times. It's been a long Asian comedians or just comedians overall, but this guy's a goofball. Put your hands together for Tam Fam, everybody. Here we go.
name is Ann, his middle name is Van, so his full name is Ann Van Pham. Pham is actually the only part that's real. The rest he actually named himself when he came to the U.S. Personally, I would have supported him for that. I mean, he gave me such a strange name. You screw up and you do something for yourself. You're gonna screw up when you do it to somebody else. That's why you never see Rihanna teaching a self-defense class. There are a lot of problems with the name Ann Van Pham, but the thing I've always hated the most is that even though he loves movies like Time Cop and Bloodsport, he's never even once referred to himself as Ann Van Pham, the Van Damme fan. Thanks, everybody.
Fuck yeah.
Not racist at all.
Damn.
Is that racist to play
The gong? I
It's
think so.
respectful. It's respectful, right?
How is that?
We respect that.
How is that demeaning to the Asian race? For real, I'm curious.
I mean, he
why?
did 60 seconds on a guy named Ann Van Pham. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty.
Well, you set it up good because you said powerful Asian comic, and he came up and said, "Hi." Everybody's like, "He's not powerful at all."
All you had to do was bow.
That would have been.
How did he get over here? You're Vietnamese, right? He's Vietnamese. How old is he? Fighting the Vietnamese War? What are we talking about here? Sneaky little bastards.
You speak English or just when you perform?
Oh, it's like karaoke.
We only know the
They
word.
can't speak any English, but they can sing the song. We're all being racist.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
God, I feel like I need to get some cleaners. I'm going to give him, get some donuts at the same time. Anyway.
It's true. What is Ann Van Pham do again?
He's a machinist. He's like 50 something.
What kind of
Wow.
machines?
Don't.
Really? Wow. What a close bond you have with that. Is he proud that you're a comedian?
Yeah,
Really?
So you don't know anything about each other. I mean, is it your father? Do you want to talk about this?
His dad thinks he's a doctor.
Hey, someone go grab Jonathan's wife so he can talk to the therapist. Do you guys not remember?
Call back. Listen, we're trying to forget him. We're trying to put him out of our heads, and you're bringing that back.
I thought that was the best thing.
We almost died up here. You're bringing that back. All right, back to Van Damme Chan.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, now how long? You're one of the guys who's been doing this show forever. How long have you been on stand-up in LA now?
2 years.
Right, 2 years. And
How many moons is that? You talk a lot. Listen,
Really?
yeah, I just
You
talk
pulled that deep out of his Rachel.
curious. I like your hipster vibe right now. Skinny jeans and all that, and your jokes were very bitey. So I think you're doing all right. I think you should be powerful, like you said. Take command of the stage. But other than that, I think you're comfortable in your own skin, which is good. So I think you're doing all right.
yeah,
I liked him a lot. The only thing I didn't like was the Rihanna joke, but I love just because I feel like it's been done so much. And this is coming from a guy that just made a Jeff Dunham joke 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. But
The hacky president over here. I'm not only a client, I'm the hacky president.
How much material do you have on just your name?
My name?
Or the name? Sorry. You know what I mean.
On names and
Tan fans who think you have
let's just say
on a
he has
scale
a
of
lot of fun.
Yeah,
That's his
okay.
middle name.
On a scale of 1 to Tam, how many Tam things do you have?
Tam, you're like, fire over here, these two.
Yeah. Like it's a,
But you're supposed to do that in Ninja Turtle, characters. No, I'm sorry. I didn't actually mean to do it.
you can't say.
Can we have Tam move his mouth and Pat and I do the voice for Tam?
Yeah, like a ventriloquist. Yeah, let's do that. Tam, you face forward and answer my next question. Are you ready? So,
Should he throw a ninja star at the same time?
the Ninja Turtle will probably catch it.
he should have the sword, right?
We're having a ninja off right now. Turtles versus whatever the fuck Tam Fam is.
Well, Vietnamese eat turtles.
Turtles are Squirtle over here. Anyway, let's keep this show going. You know what I'm saying, guys?
Right.
No, take it like a man. Take it like a man.
Take it like a turtle. Take it like a turtle.
My boy, I stick with my boy.
Oh, this is the part where they start defending each other.
You said two men up here?
Oh.
But back to the question about your name thing. I mean, how long do you think? I mean, are you gonna keep doing that, or like, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
I want to keep doing it for a long time. You see, ever since I was a little boy, I knew I had comedy that derived from my name.
Oh my god. This is the greatest show on earth.
Shouldn't he do them now? He should do them. You be a dumb white guy. Go.
Yeah. Exactly. You guys have
Fine, two heads, one brain. It's fine.
Jeremiah and Pat, what would you say your comedy philosophy is?
All right, now switch it back to us. Oh, God.
Tam Fam, what do you think about what these guys had to say about you here tonight?
No, we're not doing that anymore.
Oh, you forgot. Okay, very good. Anyway, Tam, what do you do for work? How do you survive out here?
I work at Trader Joe's.
It's unbelievable. I feel so bad for people who don't actually watch this podcast. The camera's so far away. And I too. But Tam Fam is an unbelievable job at selling. Is that the actual answer? I can't even deal with this right now. I can't even host the show and deal with this. You can see how good it looks.
Yeah, what? So where do you work?
Tam, Holy shit.
Well, it's the last time he's on.
Yeah.
I've been extra.
Oh, wow. Extra. In
You
what?
literally are an Asian guy number 3. Like, literally.
What have we seen you on? Teletubbies or?
Teletubbies, Nickelodeon, Disney, the Home and Garden Network. Damn, what if this is what the podcast evolves into for everyone?
All right.
Jeremiah
You can't do that before.
It'll be a Mexican guy, a black guy. He'll just do all the thing.
He went to do stand-up.
Yeah.
Are your nipples dark or pink?
Oh, now you want to back away? As soon as I got sexual, he was like, "Dude, not gonna do that." Don't talk about Asian nipples.
What's the answer?
People call me Purple Knuckle.
Are they purple or pink? Stop looking at them. Answer the question, Tam
I
Fam.
never know when it's gonna
It's okay. Just roll with it.
Dark.
Sometimes I wonder why you ask the questions that you do. And then I'm like, always shocked that it's always the weird answer. I don't think it's gonna be.
I know. I like dark nipples, and it's not fair when guys have dark nipples and I don't.
Never really seen it.
You said that, I'm like, you're very attracted to him now all of a sudden.
Tony, would you like to see my dark nipple?
No, Tam. Thanks for asking. But I'm okay on that. So extra work's been paying the bills?
No.
I am non-union. It is very hard to get by.
All right. Tam, you always good. Anything else with Tam Fam?
Last time I did the show, I think he performed, and I thought he was really funny then too. So good job, man. You're really funny. Keep it up.
Great Tam Fam, everybody. My goodness.
Wow, what a great start to the show. I mean,
John Gregory.
and then
Highs and lows. This looks like definitely a new name.
Highs and lows.
Guarantee you this is going to be interesting. For Ron K. Ron K.
I did see John.
Oh, there he is. He just heard it. Go that way, that way, that way.
This one's gonna be good.
Did he not?
Ron K.
Hear himself?
Use the disabled entrance.
Keep it going for Ron K, everybody.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
I'm prepared. Well, I haven't done this. Raise your hand if you're not going to see. You know, I'm from Vegas. Craps and blackjack. Who played in the game? Can't win. You know, you can't win. They don't build the tall buildings. That's only slot machines in Vegas. Go on this airport, 20 slot machines. Go on 7-Eleven slot machines. I went in the bathroom the other day to flush the toilet. Now there's no coffee machines. I got a royal flush.
Oh, shit.
Unbelievable. But,
That's a minute for Ron K. Wow. Stay up here, Ron.
Please.
You say you can't believe it, but you remember, did you forget that you signed up tonight? In between the whole thing? Talking to the microphone, Ron. The microphone, right?
We know you had a drink.
well, I got a couple of friends.
Ron.
A couple drinks.
We drove all the way here from Vegas.
With those weed.
During the night. I got practice on them. Or
Ichabod. Ichabod. How old are your friends? Mother Willis. I'm taking this guy on the road with me.
Wow. So, Ron, this is your first time ever doing comedy? Wow. Have you ever done... Yeah. Come on, people. Let me tell you something, Ron. You accidentally did one of my favorite opening jokes I think I've ever heard in my life. How many people are out there? I can't see the people. Can you raise your hands? Got a huge fucking laugh. It's unbelievable.
I had planned for about a year.
Oh, you wrote these about a year ago. You wrote your minute well in advance. That's what.
Then he walked here for
You wrote 5 seconds a month for the past.
I like it. It was a little NASCAR-y right now because we were waiting for the crash, but you stuck in there.
Yeah.
I gotta give it to you. This is hard for some people to come up here and speak in front of people and shit.
It was an incredible 60 seconds, and I'm just talking about your walk up to the stage.
You gotta be ready, man.
Ron, you're really a dealer in Vegas? That's what you do for?
Yeah.
Wow, you must see so much crazy shit.
Dealer 10 years in Vegas, and I see a lot of shit. I see 10,000 on the tables, like an hour.
Does that make you upset? Does that make you just give money away?
Not really, no. It's all about the tips.
Yeah.
Well, with this figure, I'm sure you're getting a lot of tips, baby.
You know, I just know that Ron's house, he's in the bathroom, he's got one of those combs that's in like the blue liquid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he does, right?
Yeah.
That's a,
By the way, I like those.
that's a sweet comb over. I like it a lot.
Barbicide.
Thank you for saying that, because I went in your bathroom here and said employees must wash hands.
Yeah.
Forgot the rest
Forgot
of
the
it.
punch hand. I waited. Wait.
Oh, this is good.
You're all in free on that one.
Must wash hands.
You didn't get the punchline, but you nailed that fucking setup.
Yeah.
Saw the sign? Employees must wash hands?
But it was so strong. That setup was so strong. We were all like,
Oh, okay. They said employees.
this motherfucker got every step.
Some comedians are good at punchlines. Some comedians are good at setups. And Ron Gay is the lead setup to punch.
Somebody start again, though. You went into
We could believe it.
The sign said employees must wash hands. I waited in there 1 hour for an employee to come in and wash my hands. It was where
There you go.
It was where
yeah.
It was where
But you have to say after that, but seriously, folks. You have to say that after that.
seriously, folks. Wow, I can't believe it. I can't believe you have blue eyes. I saw it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Podcasts every week.
Just when you think it wouldn't get any scarier than Jonathan Gregory, guys telling me he loves me with blue eyes. It's true, a lot of people, okay, they're, okey-dokey, Ron.
The old mayor in the 20s.
Ron, where are you going? Where are you going, Ron? This is like the mayor on the right side of the nursing home.
Over here.
Ron, you're still in the show. Don't walk away with the microphone. We need that. Ron, are you married?
Twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2 kids.
And one clearly. You're making yourself there.
I actually had.
Well, you definitely it's amazing that you had the guts to come out here.
Show us that scar. There it is. Scar. Show us that 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 scar. All right, do it. Show it.
Show it.
Yeah, show it. Show it. One of the podcast listeners, he just picked out his dick.
No,
this is
I was
like-
in the hospital 3 months.
Ron, settle down. There's a whole show going on over here. He's giving his
You know
monologue.
that scene in Aliens right before it busts out? It's like right.
Oh my God.
I love you, Ron. You're doing a
Ron,
good job.
tell us like a hobby or something. He goes, what do you do for fun out there in Vegas when you're not working?
Play horses and
Play horses.
not play with horses. Play the horses.
Alright.
You know,
Of course.
Red band's always there. 3 seconds.
You have a gambling problem, would you say?
but not. I don't gamble.
You play a lot of racquetball. You play a lot of racquetball, don't you? Handball?
I'll be sober when I'm dead.
Racquetball. Well, you convinced me.
Wait.
The lady does have a
A what?
A golf joke.
No.
He said, can I think of a golf joke?
You're being naughty tonight. You settle down, sir. So, being a bad influence. You know, obviously, Ron K is easily, really good. Shooting the low 70s. That's crazy for a guy in the high 80s.
No,
Ron, how old are you?
Hit that little pow!
That's simple. Ron, keep the focus, Ron. How old are you? Oh my God. Yeah, you don't look as gay over 92. That's incredible.
You're a testament to being a dealer and how it doesn't affect you physically and emotionally. Everyone says Vegas dealers have great health. It looks like it's been a really long time since you've taken a crack.
Again, podcast listeners, you're missing a really big pot belly if you haven't caught on to it.
Is this cell phone going off? I can relate.
Tony, it's the operation. I
believe it. Yeah, it's the operation.
Yeah.
It's a hernia.
Oh, that's a hernia?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's The Kill Tony fan base, well known for being very near 65, so,
Bernie Sanders, ladies and gentlemen.
$3.
He still has a chance. He's not out of the race.
this is the hashtag Bernia.
Thank you. Come on. You gotta be
Ron, do you ever jerk off to porn on the internet? Have you figured out that internet thing yet? You have the internet where you live?
Jerk off.
Do you have the internet? Do you have...
No. You got the question messed up, Ron. I didn't ask you if you jerked off on the internet.
like he has a web show.
No, like he thinks that the internet is like an actual solid thing. That he's once jerked off.
He's got his own show where he jerks off. Hi, I'm on.
I do.
I'm gonna jerk off on my hernia.
But do you have the internet where you live?
Yeah.
No, I just got a cordless phone. Oh, we're doing that again. When he jerks off, you just like sling your balls over your shoulder and you start jacking it.
Ron, over here, buddy. So with this internet that you have at home, do you ever look at porn on the internet?
Sometimes.
No, you never do.
No. You still look at the magazine.
Every time I try to do that, it just goes kind of, just.
So what do you when you now that you're single, when you fantasize about something, how do you do it? With a magazine, a book?
Do you draw it? Every Sunday morning.
My telephone.
You do it with the
Oh, he's
telephone.
got porno on the telephone.
You have phone sex.
Yes.
Okay, well, can we do something fun? Can we, you just close your eyes, pretend like you're on the phone, and we're going to call into a phone sex thing, and, how would you start, okay, go ahead. That's not the right music, you just called in, here goes the ringtone, beep!
Hello?
Hey, stud.
So what would you say to that if you were having phone sex right now?
Wait a second, that's an old joke I had great I just problem was I was all alone. It was terrible.
Oh my God, Ron.
I can't imagine why he would be confused.
Yeah, I'm alone.
Oh my God.
But my memory.
But you were great in Grumpy Old Men. So
Yeah. If Ron had a favorite porn category, it'd be World War II. Ron, where's your life alert badge? I saw it and I can't get up onto the Kill Tony stage.
Tommy Lee Jones.
yeah.
Is he alive? Is he alive?
What? Yeah. No, he is. Everything's cool, Ron. He's totally alive. Tell us, like, in your, 65 years or whatever, tell us something cool about yourself you've accomplished or something like that.
I was a dog. We had 200 or 300 dogs when I was kid. My parents raised the
So something interesting.
Question. Who let the dog out?
Ron, if I want to get a dog, what is
Irish setter.
why? Why Irish setter? You know what I was gonna say. If I want to get a dog and I want to fuck it to death.
Great question.
No, why Irish setters? Why you think they're the best breed?
Irish setter would be the best breed. They're well temperamental kids.
He's not bringing kids. Yo, Ron. He just said you had a kid, Casa.
Yeah, I guess I have to have children now.
Well tempered with kids.
Wait, what makes you think I have a bunch of kids? Or am I a kid to you?
No,
What if you live?
everybody.
I got a Good to know. Irish setter, everybody.
Yeah.
Ron, what's the best possible name
I like a
for a dog?
spinner.
What's the best dog name?
Well, our dog was named our first dog, Morty.
You do your taxes also.
Yeah.
We have a Jewish dog.
Big shot. We're going to put it over here.
Hey, Maureen.
Hey, Marie.
Mike, Clancy,
Mike? You named the dog Mike?
and our first, second dog. And Mike, so we call her. What is it? Maureen, second dog.
M&M.
Maureen, Mike,
Wow, this is fucking more diabolical than I ever could have predicted.
You know, my dad got a dog, and it was half cockapoo and half peekapoo, and he used to call it a cockapoo-poo-poo. Wow.
What's the worst breed of a dog?
We're just making movies now.
Chihuahua. Why?
They'll never bite you.
And those lousy Mexicans are attached to them.
Yeah. Sounds like Ron wants to build a wall against these Chihuahuas and have them build it themselves. There you go. Do you hate Mexicans? What's your least favorite race, Ron? Least favorite race. Answer the question, Ron, before I have to repeat it again. Least favorite race. Go ahead. Please just say the Boston Marathon at this point. You know what? Forget it. I don't want an answer, Ron. I don't want an answer.
Don't answer.
Answer, Ron. Don't answer.
Polish, I love Polish.
Oh, yeah. Love the polo. Really awesome.
But they do.
He loves them like in the way that Hitler did. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to gather them all on trains.
Nobody's Polish, right? Okay.
Well, how many take a light bulb out?
They
Is that what
lost
you
the
said?
formula. They don't have like, you know why? They lost it.
Yeah.
Wow, Ron. The king of the setups. Ron K. It was so nice to meet you. Anything else for Ron? Congratulations on both your first and your last stand-up appearance of all time.
Sorry about your.
There you go. Louis BC, everybody. Louis BC.
Thank you, Ron. Good luck with your healthcare, man.
Look, yeah. There he goes. There he goes. Geriatric Seinfeld. There he goes. Yeah.
This is like in Caddyshack when Priest goes golfing. You know he's going to die at the end of this, right? It's like the greatest day of his life.
No one in this room saw Caddyshack. That's all.
Just so you know. You're a good dude.
There he goes.
Yeah, you don't sit down. You don't have to.
He's the only guy to be both on the Kill Tony list and Schindler's list. Something like
Good
that.
dude, man.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Red Band led me in with.
What an interesting group of guests. We've got three comics of all that.
It's what I love about the show. Is that absolutely anything can happen. It's fucking crazy. So you guys ready to meet your next fucking comedian?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Looks like another new name here. The handwriting. Julian Fernandez.
Want to get something out of the way? I'm not Native American. I'm not Hawaiian. Don't realize I have very small eyes. It's just it's very bright. I'm really high. What you guys are, I'm 100% Mexican, 100%. I know I don't really come off it. Really like skin, which is a big issue when I was a kid. I remember my brother and my sister used to try to convince me I was white and adopted. Funny now, I believe them 100%. And I remember running to my mom in tears, just crying. Mom, am I adopted? I'll never forget this moment. She started tearing up herself. Adopted. Fucked up, but I believe her. Big thing. Kind of a weird
Mexican. I hate tamales, which is a big sin if you're Mexican. It's kind of fucked up, yeah. It's like hearing an Asian person hates rice, or a black person hates chicken, or a white person hates privilege. It sounds weird. My name is Julian. Thank you very much.
Fuck yeah. Julian Hernandez. How's it going, buddy?
Doing good. Yourself?
You've been on this show before, right? Once before?
Yeah, with
How
Jamar Neighbors and Mike Lawrence.
did it go that time?
It was fun. I did some impressions.
Yeah, very good.
We all remember that clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess. Well, I just want to say, after all the nonsense that we just went through, I mean, for you to come up and just like get the crowd to be like, oh, he's gonna actually tell jokes and listen to you, that's a testament to what you're doing. So
Yeah,
good
very
job.
hard to do.
You know?
On K. By the way, especially while you're trying to drive to a destination.
Sorry, no, I cut you off. I was just going to say, by the way, Ron, did he sound asleep?
Exhausted. Out like a light. Still waiting for one of those employees to wash his hands. Julian, how long have you been doing stand-up?
You turned it to the 1940s. I was like,
Yeah.
Sam, you gotta wash your hands.
I didn't make that around day ever since the best ribbon started.
Oh, can we order 2 tennis balls for Ron, wait staff?
Why would he need 2 tennis balls?
Put on the bottom of his walker.
Oh. Yeah.
On ice.
You didn't have a walker though.
Now back to the Mexican. That's which he was just about to say the race he didn't like. But anyway. You like doing racial humor?
I don't do it a lot, but
You think you have to?
no. But when it comes to just talking about myself,
You go with that first.
yeah, this is usually people's first guess.
But you got a white guy radio voice.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah.
Sure do.
So what does a cop do when they pull you over? They're just like, what the fuck are you, dude? Just tell me the truth, bro. Because the most Latino thing about you is the bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even that's not even really.
no, he's got the wet top to go with the.
I don't think he was Samoan with that haircut.
What?
See the wet top? Should I check his back?
Who do you?
Look what you've done to me!
You ever blow a cop to get out of a speeding ticket?
Serial hobbyist.
Don't bring your personal shit into this.
Julian, what do you do for work? How do you make money?
I work at Universal Studios. I'm doing that.
Yeah, that's a voice.
You got a very turn left. We have Jaws. You're right.
Yeah. What part? Do you do the same part of the tour or the whole thing? Is it just like, how does that work?
You on the tram?
Yeah, I'm front of
You make it funny? You make it funny?
I try my best. Yeah.
Can you give us an example of one of the jokes that you do on the tram?
Give us your winner. What's your yeah?
Yeah.
I know you got one you can't wait.
on the tram.
You're like, here it comes. Here it comes.
We're on the train. We're on the train right now.
If you don't do one quick, we're gonna have Tam Fam come up here and
Or Jeremiah's gonna do it.
my people were tall.
We call the Jaws, the mechanical structure of Jaws. His name is actually Bruce. He's Gilbert's lawyer.
That's all you non-paying pieces of garbage.
That's usually the reaction he gets too, but I think it's funny. I don't know.
Is that your closer?
You have such a white guy radio voice.
That's what I'm saying. You should be talking about that up front.
Yeah.
Valeria, I would love to attend your quinceañera.
You really
Holy shit, you created a monster. You're a fucking monster all of a sudden.
He's gotten a little better at getting roasty, and I've gotten a little better at being goofy. And it's both joined
He's
together.
got better at turning up the volume.
We've given Resident more buttons to press.
Every little comment has got a button.
You know, and I love that it's like a McDonald's cash register. You know what I mean?
Is that an app that's like 99 cents, or what is that like?
Totally free.
It's free? Is that free?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny. That last sound, surprisingly, was called bowling.
Tell us something interesting about yourself, other than
Casey used to be there. Mark used to be there.
you really do have like shockingly tiny
Tiny
eyes.
eyes.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
Are you high? Are you high right now?
No.
Can you try your best to open them as wide as you can?
Open your eyes.
Open your eyes.
Open your eyes.
You said your forehead is what it is.
Let's have Ron K decide how pretty your eyes actually are.
No, he only likes the young white boys.
Honey, your eyes are much bluer than I thought they'd be. That's a lot of fodder for my nightmares.
Man, look how he moves the over to you. I'm gonna fuck you tonight. Here I am, Leo.
We need to get Eric Griffin to karaoke bar.
Do you get a lot of stage time around town, or what?
I try to do as much as I can.
Yep. Be more specific.
So remember I told you I love
Is the open mic scene pretty good here in LA right now?
Well, but oh my god, dude, it tastes
Inland Empire.
How's the open mic scene out there? How's the open ice scene out there? Oh, it's right now. How's the open mic scene in the Inland Empire? Your voice. Do you ever do a podcast or anything like that? What's your podcast about?
Is it called Tram Talk?
Welcome to
Tram Radio. Welcome to complaining about everybody that comes on the tram. That'd be great. Welcome to Hookers on the Tram.
I don't think I would call them trams anymore.
You get tips?
I don't want those trampies in my bathroom.
Do they tip you?
Yeah, do you get tips? Like,
Really?
What? Yeah.
Can you ask for tips?
They're probably not allowed.
Yeah, but
do people ever see you pull out smelling salts and try to wake you up? Figure out.
what about you? I always carry a couple smelling salts with me.
Yeah. Or if you're rapey. Why before you leave your house, you go, oh, you want out of it?
Like when you laugh, they go like all the way shut. You can't see shit when you laugh, huh? Like right now.
I can see pretty much, like it looks like I can't see anything by here. Pretty good.
That probably sucks with the DMV. Yeah.
It's a 2-day trip.
You see that baseball that's
How old are you, Julian?
My friend has
You are one of the funniest young sumo wrestlers we've ever had on the show.
chainsaws.
What do your parents do for work?
My dad's dressing chefs. My mom
And then this guy really wants
Oh,
chainsaws.
God, you're like the Mexican Cosby's over here.
So he's trying to get chainsaws for fucking 2 days.
Yes, Andy's Mexican, so what can Brown do for you? You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Double Browns. Julian, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked on Kate. Craziest thing you've ever jerked off to on the internet?
Craziest thing I've ever jerked off to.
Well, I tried to ask Ron that. We ended up finding out that he just has phone sex still.
Ron said he checks the porn on his phone.
I use the telephone.
Or he doesn't like fuck himself with the phone. You know? You're great at
the yellow pages is the internet.
I like to put it on vibrate and sit it on the bench and it's in my bathtub. You should have said shower, and I fucked that one up. Shower would have gotten 30% more of the last usually. Anyway, yeah, it's a different picture. You know, bathtub, it's like, why would there be a bench? Shower, it's an old man thing. Anyway, Ron, how many times, just yell it from your seat, how many times in the middle of the night do you average get up to go pee? Very good.
By the way, you get hold on, three.
Put up the number 2, send the number 3, and probably took a number 1, all at the same time. Julian. All right, man. Well, several times. Anything else for Julian, though?
Oh, man, you're good. Keep it up.
Very fun. There he goes. Julian Fernandez, everybody. He's on Twitter. He's the first person other than Tam Comedy and Creepy Comedy on Twitter. He's JJF Comedy. Everybody has comedy in their Twitter handle, just to remind you.
God, it was weird to talk to somebody who felt like the brain functioned normal.
Yeah.
It was like,
I know, we were like, what's weird about this guy? We'll find something.
You know it's weird when you see a guy that can't open his eyes and you're like, finally a normal one.
you know what I love about this is that the handwriting is very interesting. It really does a lot.
It does, it really does. And this is, by the way, you are at episode 160 of this
Wow.
live show. Yeah. See, I've been in, it's sort of like a crazy control. Totally right. The handwriting tells a lot. Like this one, sort of, I don't know. Either, we're going to see. This looks like a new name, though. Anything can happen, guys. Put your hands together for Jamie Alexis. Jamie Scourge.
What's the way we get
Excuse me.
from chatting?
Put your hands together for Anthony Desamito. Cool.
So I read somewhere that talking to yourself is a sign of genius, which means I highly underestimated everybody on my bus stop. A bunch of philosophers in front of that standpoint. So I think that ambulances are distracting the road. Because you can hear them coming down the street. And everybody gets out of their way. And there's usually somebody dead inside. It's weird because for a gay guy, I'm like morbidly obese. But for a lesbian, I'm right on point.
Wow! Holy shit! This is one of those moments. That's what makes the show fun. You're a killer, man. Anthony Desamito, everybody. Am I saying that right? Wow.
I thought that was like I said, that was the same with the last guy, but you even did it even more so. You just came up and owned us all.
Yeah.
That was fucking great. You made me laugh, genuinely laugh.
Eric doesn't laugh.
I don't laugh.
Eric doesn't laugh.
So,
What's the story? You've been on this 7 years. You're from Portland, Oregon.
I've been doing it for 5 years.
That was going to be my first fucking guess. But I didn't guess it because the other guy was from fucking Arizona.
I came here with Jonathan.
Did you? For real? Really? Holy shit. Alright. Fuck yeah. I turned his motorcycle, they still rode on the back.
Sidecar.
that's all his clothes.
Don't go too
Clothes and
close.
snacks. You know what I mean?
Anthony, I love your style. You're owning it.
You know, I don't like that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I was wondering if you were gonna say that you were gay or not. You know, in the 60 seconds. You know, because we're all like,
Welcome to another episode of Gay in 60 Seconds.
yeah. Nicolas Cage, ironically,
They immediately start dancing to that song. It's the final cast. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's like a fucking Joe Rogan. You can't even help it.
That's something you like go right. I mean, when you do a longer set, or do you like to talk about that right away? Is that something that you want to address? Because it's like an elephant in the room.
Yeah,
No offense.
I addressed it right away.
What was that?
Thank you over there.
The big gay elephant. Yeah, I addressed it right away. I usually start off by saying homo is
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Love it. When you owning it, it's like that. That's serious.
That's not actual real Spanish.
Jeremiah was ready to use that in high school. It would have been his one. So moved stuff.
Oh, sorry. How old is that ambulance? This is the second time I do it.
The second time you ever told that joke.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a killer joke. One thing I really liked about your comedy was how in the first joke you told, talking to yourself, I thought it was really good how you tagged it up after with the same way. I think a lot of people, including myself, I'm a real person. We always forget to tag up a great joke. Like if it's funny and it got laughs, you can get even more laughs by adding something at the end of it. You did a great job of that.
How long have you been doing it? 5 years. All right. Did you almost? You're comfortable with yourself now, and you're like, what subjects do you want to talk about? Like,
I've been talking a lot. So I grew up in Mexico. And I talk about that. Sorry. It sucks.
well, that's very funny. The two Mexican guys don't talk Mexican at all, whatever that means. They do have chihuahuas, though.
What do you do for work?
I'm a freelance video editor.
We got a big video editor crew over here in place.
Any advertisers on the house? Any Final Cut Pro heads? What's going on, dudes?
What's up? Maybe Premiere?
Is it mostly like solo scenes or like in the back of a car or?
Freelance video editor.
I'm a motorcycle.
How you make your money?
Yes, that, but no, I've never been on one.
The question was, how do you make your money?
There's so much going on.
He was tagging the joke, man. Like, he was doing that. So how do you make your money?
I ran out kind of unemployed. I just moved to LA like 3 days.
Oh, wow.
I think it's funny. He moved to LA 3 days ago. He wrote a joke about being dead inside 2 days ago.
Welcome to LA.
I told his dad. You're in the right place.
Fuck yeah. So,
If that's like Korea, like
Yeah, it's like twice the alcohol. It's super strong.
probably a little different than the sangria that you down every night.
It's not a bottle of cum.
Even though it probably is about that thick and fucking long.
this is not a bottle of Jonathan Gregory's secret. It's just blood.
Oh.
I'm going to enjoying his thing on that one, Anthony. Wow, that's fun. Are you excited to be gay in LA rather than Phoenix? Well, it seems like it'd be a hard place. You know what I mean? It seems like there's a lot. Are you Latino as well, right?
Yeah.
So you already got a lot going against you in Arizona.
Yeah. So they hate your guts. Yeah, Arizona.
Yeah, you're trying to face it.
There, it was just like I could get shot.
Yeah. They want to build a wall around you, around the wall for Mexicans. It's a double wall.
I'll break through it like a Kool-Aid man. Oh
We know exactly what kind of guy you are. So it's safe to say you would fuck the shit out of Jeremiah.
I think you guys just had
That was deep eye contact with him.
Oh yeah.
you guys just had butt sex.
Chimichanga?
You can't follow up butt sacks with that.
Yeah, those are exactly what that actually.
So Anthony, you just moved to LA. What part of town are you living?
I'm living there.
Yeah, sounds like wow. Living here. I'm living in
on the court and living in the living room. So.
Oh, you couch surfing out there.
Yeah. So
That's his name. Did you find that on Craigslist?
no, it's out.
Oh. Where's Jonathan?
You and Jonathan are an interesting duo. Surreal, like fucking Rocky Bullwinkle shit going on.
I'm like sleeping right next to him. It's really good night, Jonathan.
Fat Jonathan?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I did not sleep at all.
That's like a great detective show on Fox.
That is a funny TV show. That is a funny fucking TV show. Hacking creeps.
I think we might have an idea now where Jonathan Gregory's wedding ring got lost at.
And I poop it out later.
The horse.
Yeah. Anthony, I actually had a feeling you were going to say that.
Red Hand just presses the button.
We just find animals.
Sometimes it's just too easy.
What is sonar? What is sonar?
It's like if there was like something in the room, like a sword.
That's how he finds the ring.
That's the red.
No, that's Anthony trolling for dick.
That's my
Bonar.
gaydar.
Anthony, have you met up with any? Have you hooked up with anybody since being in Los Angeles?
No, I haven't. Except for Jonathan.
Oh, I see what you did there. Say that too loud. He's probably gonna hear you. Just start yelling from whatever part of the city he's in right now.
He's sharpening his machete in the back.
You guys, please save me.
This is his opportunity.
Give me a place to live.
You just need to start dating a guy rope, you know, just crash on his dick.
You can always sleep inside of Ron K's stomach if you want.
Yeah, that's true. When Luke Skywalker's not sleeping in it,
You're funny, dude. You made me laugh.
Anthony.
I think that Star Wars joke just slipped right by you.
Yeah, you know what I should have said? It's fucking, again, it's
Leonardo.
Leo and the Revenant. Leo slept in Ron K's belly in the Revenant. So much better. Even though they knew it was fucking coming.
And everyone knows Leo's gay, so that was
Is that true?
he's
Whoa, I did not know that. Leonardo DiCaprio.
So you know someone directly that has.
I think he's open about it.
He was. Do you want to put him in his DiCaprio?
Am I wrong? Was I missing?
Son of a bitch.
Trust me. It is
Redman's just
DiCaprio.
really pleading a case over here while the rest of us are trying to make jokes. He is not gay. Don't do this to me.
That's the only time all night Redman hasn't played a sound effect.
Yeah.
Not my DiCaprio.
Don't you even tell me Leo's gay. Anthony, tell us, do your parents know everything about how? When did you come out to them? When did you come out of the?
16 years old. I came out of Rothschild.
When you're Mexican, do they call it coming out of the shed, or is it still a closet?
Yes.
Well, at 16, they know something's up because most Mexicans are pregnant by 14. So
No, if I was a Mexican girl, I would have like 5 babies right now.
But you can't get a butt pregnant.
Yeah.
Why you sound excited about it?
Why
do you?
Really great stuff, Anthony. You're a natural.
Yeah.
Incredible
Very
stuff.
funny, good sport. Keep it up.
There he goes. Anthony Decimito, everybody. He's on Twitter at Anthony Decimito. Funny guy. It's like Bill Burrito. Louis C. Quesadilla? Anybody? Guys,
Chimichanga.
I'm a fucking machine. Anthony Decimito's on Twitter at Anthony Decimito, all one word, Desamito. Alright.
Look, we got tired.
Why don't we put the regulars up and then go back to the bucket for one last bonus one at the end so that not everybody leaves. Put your hands together for your first regular tonight. You know we're always nervous stylings are something to watch. Sometimes it's electric, sometimes, you know, we're working here. It's one of the newest comedians in the world, a new minute every single week. Put your hands together for Melissa Esslinger, everybody.
I was born a Jedi, but my lightsaber was powered by generic batteries. It's like I got a lightsaber on Christmas morning, and for whatever reason, even though they knew it needed to have batteries, they still had to get mad at me and go to 7-Eleven. But when my lightsaber doesn't work, I just put a helmet on. Because anybody wearing a helmet that's 26 years old, nobody's going to fuck with you. I don't think there's one evil person in the world that wouldn't back off from a helmet on an adult. This is one of those times for my helmet.
There you go, 55 seconds of thunder and lightning from Melissa S. Working it out. That's fun. That sounds true and real. And you worked it into something and it grew the whole time. That was really great. Yeah. It's fun to see you get out of that little rut that you were in for a few weeks. How about one more hand from Melissa S? Not easy to do. It's fun. You got through it. It seemed like that really happened. You got a lightsaber when you were a kid, huh?
No, but a lot of things that needed batteries. I never had batteries.
Batteries. Yeah. You do seem like you actually own a helmet, do you?
Somewhere. Yeah. Got fish on.
That's fun. Is this the first time you've seen Melissa?
This is the first time I've seen her perform, and I love honest that scene. You know, I guess it felt like that was a real thing, and whether it's true or not, if it felt like it was real, that's the point.
Oh, totally.
A lot of comics just tell jokes sometimes, and you don't really feel like a personal connection, but generic batteries is a great topic. It says a lot about you and your family. It's a perfect way to explain a lot about who you and your world is to all of us. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, and I want to ask, like, are you incredibly nervous right now? Are you?
My body is.
Yeah. Just something. Yeah. I feel like a rapist. All of a sudden, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, but I just want to.
You're very nervous right now.
But I want to say this, like, you know, one, I appreciate that, like, since you've done this a few times, that you prepared for it. So you're like, okay, I have a minute.
Rikatadana Elohim Malaka Alama Sugar Shanabin with stuff it's fun on Hania Kafala. Rikatadana Elohim Malaka Alama Sugar Shanabin with stuff it's fun on Alma's fuck to film. Urkshan Kabad totally on my bed. Urkshan Kabad totally on my bed. Shwan Israel Adonai Adonai Urkshan Kabad totally on my bed.
For doing comedy properly or trying to build an act. So that's a great skill you've learned. And the second thing is, I can tell that you're very nervous, but even with that, you still came up here and just like sold it, did it, so you're able to deal with that nervousness because some people just can't. You know what I mean? So that's a real for auditioning, for a lot of things, but you just got to work not being so visibly nervous. Right. Where we were like, oh shit, is she gonna fall? Or, you know what I mean? But even just dealing with that, I commend you on dealing with it. And, you know, great job, especially after all of this. Jeremiah's gonna talk, and you know what I mean. We're gonna.
What did you do different? What did you do different than last week? What was something different you did than last week? Because last week, you know, was really hard. But what
last week was so terrible. Brian's still ragging on you about it right now.
No, I just want to know the difference. You absolutely had a way different set this week. You were focused. You wrote material. Absolutely. What was the difference? Just the writing, or did you go up more? Or?
That. Got your mind off everything.
Can I ask you? So last week she came up and it wasn't very good.
No,
And as you came back this week with this, I commend you even more.
Yeah.
Well, for sure, even more.
This is,
I wouldn't have done that when I first started. I had a horrible experience.
This is a very unique way to develop as a comic, because most people, when they do open mics, getting better, it's not in front of 100, 200 people that are actually listening. It's in front of 3 comics. So it's not... For one, there's more stakes here, and people are actually listening. So what I was going to say is, in response to what Eric said, you look nervous, but you speak clearly and loudly. And if we couldn't hear you, you'd be fucked. So I'm cool if she looks nervous, as long as it doesn't sound nervous.
You were shaking, but you absolutely killed it. And I think that's perfect for the special Muhammad Ali episode.
Well, maybe that's what she was doing.
No respect!
Why, did something happen?
The Paul Simon thing? Nobody heard that?
Wow.
The Paul Simon thing?
You know it's going well when you kind of announce what it is.
The Paul Simon thing? Melissa, that was great. Writing a new minute, performing it's one of the hardest things in the world for a new comic.
Especially a follow-up. I put a follow-up set.
Keep adding on to the generic battery shit.
Yeah, it's funny, dude. Yeah, doing good.
Maybe you have a generic battery dildo. It only gets you halfway there. Any other? You guys want to give me other ones? Huh?
Oh God.
Huh?
Thank you.
Going camping for a day or two was good for you. Then you don't have to go all the way to wherever to get away. You can go to a fucking hilltop or something. Just think for a few hours. It seems like it's gonna help you. You're very high-strung.
You're already less nervous too.
It's true. She was shaking a lot more, and now she's not shaking at all. Which you think is perfect for the Muhammad Ali episode of. It's actually funnier that time, but it won't get.
She wasn't shaking, but then
I am just a boxer and a song.
You know
the Paul Simon thing, guys?
There she goes, Melissa Essler with a brand new one.
Okay.
There you go. Somebody's going to be on Mania for the rest of the night.
just stay away from Jonathan Gregory and everything will be fine.
All right.
Nice job! Don't be scared!
We have one other regular. She has been doing the show with Melissa for a few months now. How far are you guys gonna go? If it doesn't work the first 2 times, let's double down on the third. Put your hands together for your next regular, Vanessa Johnston, ladies and gentlemen. Oh shit.
Ooh, guys. I didn't go to college, and when I graduated high school, I applied for a job as an assistant. When I got to the interview, the guy was like, "So you're gonna be making coffee? Do you have a college degree?" I was like, "No." Like, our coffee maker's really complicated. Because it's like so crazy to me. Because like what you learn in college is useless for like 80% of the jobs in the United States. You know, but like colleges want to make money any way they can, so they say everyone needs to go to college. Like everyone, even fucking Down syndrome, droopy-eyed little Jimmy, who can't even see the textbook, so that when he graduates, he can spend the rest of his life working at the arc light to pay it off. Stand-up's hard, okay?
Yeah, exactly a minute. Vanessa Johnston. Look, yeah, it's going to be very hard for people to laugh at a person like you.
Maybe you should try this though. Maybe she does this.
No. I don't think tagging it's gonna help out.
No, it's weird because originally it was longer and I had to shorten it to make it a minute because it was a minute 30. I didn't know until I was like right before and I was like, fuck.
Right, like a Down syndrome, like the joke itself. You know, there's a chromosome or two. You know.
So yeah, I mean, it sounds mean, but like.
This clip was on fire today, everybody.
Today.
Hey, Red Man, play the Down syndrome track.
Obbity.
You don't have a Down syndrome queued up already?
He actually does. It's crazy.
All right, that's pretty talented right there. Seriously, I mean, that's what you think of when you hear those like sea lions and you're at a hotel near the beach and you just get right.
Don't do that. Don't rationalize the Down syndrome sound effect.
Tony makes a great point. I mean, it's going to be hard. You're a pretty woman. It's going to be hard for people to like you enough initially to let you make fun of a person with Down syndrome. I'm not saying you can't do it. But you need to. They need to like you first.
No, I know, 100%. The problem was like the original bit was longer, so like the bit was making fun of the colleges because college offered degrees for people with special needs.
Your voice, by the way, sounds like a 12-year-old boy from New York named like Joey, like a bully. You have the voice of a 12-year-old male bully named Joey.
So anyway,
this fucking guy,
dude, I don't know. She still gives me a cow boner.
oh shit! They're
Just now, an hour and a half after the start of the show.
It's called a call fact. Dude, come on, man. Don't be a cowabunga over here, dude.
Wow. You're really beating a dead cowabunga over there.
Well, I mean, I would say, like, in this instance right now, it's just one of those where you just go, well, that just didn't work out right now.
Okay.
Like, trying to explain, like, how you were going to make that funny is not, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever. Yeah. So I just think it's like one of those where you go, oh, this didn't work. I mean, you always are going to have to combat against what they're saying. You're coming out here and they're like, you know, Down syndrome, whatever it is, you just got to own it. No matter what it is, you got to own it. And there's a little nervousness going up after everything that's going on, and then that you just didn't sell that one. That's all it is.
And I bet there's something. Did you end up getting the job with the coffee thing?
no, I didn't.
You didn't get it.
Yeah.
You really wanted.
They got Keurig and she didn't get the job.
Sure, I am in love with you tonight.
Well, you know, it's funny that he says that because I was thinking that myself too. Like when you started saying that stuff, my first thought was like, I don't believe none of this. So then, like, now my brain just went someplace else, and then you're standing in front of me, so I'm like, trying not to look at your booty. You know what I mean? Well, it just becomes that, you know? So, no, but I'm saying, like, you got to own whatever
Right.
You have to own these things, you know. It's just okay. Like, I always find that it's hard for attractive girls to talk about, you know, whatever they're going to talk about. Like, if this was a guy up here, we wouldn't care if a guy was up here talking about Down syndrome people. It wouldn't be a fucking issue. We would just be like, it's funny or not. So immediately, because this is, you know, a pretty girl, we got to be like, well, hey, you can only talk about certain things. But that's just the reality of it. So I'm just saying, like, you just got to own this more. Everything.
Tang 6.
You know?
It's true. Like Jim, Chris Farley falling on a table is a lot funnier than fucking Rob Lowe falling on a table. You know, it is the same. It's
Not to me.
Anyway, is that true? Is that true that there's degrees for kids with Down syndrome?
Yeah.
You just told that to me, not during the joke.
No, I know.
And I think that is a hilarious, fascinating topic. You're gonna have to figure out how to navigate that.
Yeah.
But
I didn't realize you could get a bachelor's in finger painting.
yeah.
No, exactly. I saw like that. Like they were like alternative textbooks with like what, like Dr. Seuss, like, you know.
Yeah.
They charge like $40,000. Fuck you, Bugget. Okay, bye.
I think we just. It's a tough subject. I think we just need to skip part that was cut, right? It's a tough subject, and you know, look, every joke has a degree of difficulty, right? And as you get better and more skilled at stand-up comedy, I believe you can take on higher degrees of difficulty. That is a high degree of difficulty.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying you can't do it, but you may want to put that on the back burner. You didn't
Totally
do it.
agree with that, but this is totally, you know, you're in one of those situations where you're on such an interesting path, having the right to perform a new minute every week in front of everybody, that with that said, I've always looked at it like taking chances like that is like working out with ankle weights on, so that other jokes are going to get those chances, and then who knows, you go back and you remember that you used to do like a half thing about that, and with your new weaponry, you might be able to knock that out of the park.
Yes, and I will say this again. If you go up here and do this, and it doesn't work, just go, explain, and you rationalize why it wasn't funny. You know, we all say shit that's not funny.
Yeah.
So just go, well, what's
All
funny?
the time, like you've seen Eric on the show tonight.
Yeah. See, that didn't work. You know what I mean?
It doesn't work.
You know, but he's not going, you know, a minute ago I was going to say it like this, and then I was going to, like, you know, you don't have to do that. It's just, he didn't work, we move on. You know what I mean?
Also, if you do work out with ankle weights, I'd recommend Rennie Caney. There's a lot of other people that use ankle weights up there as well.
See, once again, jokes don't always work. You know?
Okay, thank you.
And if you like working out with ankle weights, Jonathan Gregory has some cement shoes that he'd love to strap on you and take you on a little boat trip.
Well, you know who does actually use ankle weights? Those fucking Down syndrome kids.
Yeah.
It's raining in there! Hallelujah! Anywho,
Vanessa Johnston, there we go, everybody. Another brand new minute from Vanessa Johnston. There she goes. What goes up?
We did it.
Must come down.
Do we get paid for this?
Yeah.
wait, what? One more.
I'm gonna pull one more name out of the bucket. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah! It's Ron K.
There's a whole Asian tail there. I didn't notice that.
I love this podcast because I stood up the second time after that terrible joke, and this man right here goes, "Sit the fuck down."
You will never fucking believe what name I just pulled out of this bucket.
Shit.
Jeremiah Watkins.
Now, everybody, the seed was planted on the show earlier, and I cannot fucking believe that I get to say this right now for the first time ever on this show.
Wow.
Put your hands together for Ichabod.
And the Whitson.
balance for the superior deliciousness. But I think they've gone too far with these boneless chickens. That's fucked up.
Wow. Ichabod. How excited am I right now?
Hey, Red Band.
Hey, what's up? Now, Ichabod,
You know it's Red Band.
Kid Rock has really let himself go, huh?
I mean, can I say my favorite part about this whole thing? Is he had those jokes were written down.
If you're gonna write it down, you better deliver it perfectly, because you got the words right fucking there.
Hey, Tony, I have a question for Ichabod.
yes, Jeremiah.
Is your mother's maiden name Golem? Super fat habits. Super.
Really long setup for this one. Oh, wow. Okay, let's, Okay, very good. There you go. That was the ball with the ball 45-second part of the show. Ichabod, what's your
My
story?
name is Schlegel. Super fat habits.
Oh my
Oh my
God.
gosh.
No, put it back on. Put it back on. Put it back on. Put it back on.
Ichabod, wow.
He looks like a white vampire slayer switchblade.
I don't know about you. I'm surprised this guy's friends with Ron K.
Okay, Ichabod, here we go. What do you do for work?
You definitely don't whistle for work, right?
Okay, let's discuss the teeth and get it out of the way. Right.
Oh, stress.
God.
Yeah, you killed nothing. Okie dokie.
Are you a vet? Did you serve?
No, I was from Las Vegas.
Okay.
It's the same.
Yeah,
He's Las Vegas, Vietnam, same thing.
he serves Applebee's. Yeah, Friday night. Wow.
Those customers.
Imperial Palace.
When you always wanted to do comedy, is that what's your situation with comedy?
Oh, right. Ever since you stopped cutting off people's heads on horses, Ichabod's an interesting name. What's it been like going through life with a name like Ichabod?
Well, I was at the bar and, people give nicknames. And everyone laughed. And I said, stop laughing. I'll actually change my name to Ichabod. And they laugh harder.
You showed them. So not even on a dare, you just said to them,
Ichabod,
After a while, it just kind of stuck. So,
what form of transportation did you have to take when from Vegas? Did you guys, like, what is this? Some kind of fucking, like, leopard ride or something like that?
it was for sure Greyhound.
my Uncle Ronnie came.
So,
I called all the ravens in the sky.
Ron is your uncle.
Yeah.
Wow. So this was a family trip.
right, yeah. All in the family.
That's cool as hell.
Ron K.
You guys came here for this Kill Tony podcast.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, some of the Kill Tony fans, I think, actually come here to kill Tony. And
That's a weapon here.
they think that's what they're signing up for, and then they get stuck. That's fun.
Can I ask you and Uncle Ronnie how you guys listen to podcasts? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't know podcasts came over
AM radio.
He goes online, he tries to, but like what he's trying to explain, every time he tries, the screen comes up, he downloaded viruses, like, fuck, I gotta get into the computer.
No, that viruses. That was your doctor's report, Ichabod.
So they're clearly on Windows 98 still.
You listen to Kill Tony on Uncle Ronnie's computer? Yeah. Yours. What do you have, a gateway?
No, he's the only guy that listens to it on a police scanner. Ichabod, how do you? Okay, so
Why was Boing funny?
to death.
Edgar Allan Poe fan club.
Is the hair attached to the hat?
If it was, that would be really fucked up.
No, where did you get these jokes? Did you write those jokes, or
Yeah, I got like 2 hours.
you got 2 hours?
Half of those, like,
Well, how did you narrow all that down to a minute?
You got through by the skin of your teeth, I'll tell you. And that's, as we can see, not very much. Nothing on that. Come on.
You perform in Las Vegas? You perform in Las Vegas? Stand-up comedy?
yeah, I've been doing it for 20 years. This is my first time, though.
No, I know.
First time in LA? Or first time on stage, everything?
First time doing comedy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing, Ichabod. I love it. Do you play any instruments or do any other
I
types?
should.
You should. Oh, wow. You answered like you
Never
play
too late.
instruments just to say you should.
Did you help Uncle Ron with the dog training, or
Nah.
what's an interesting fact about Ichibod other than Ichibod?
He's got an itchy bod.
I'm afraid of large bodies of water.
Say that again?
I'm afraid of large bodies of water.
Like the Bellagio fountains, or
I had this nightmare when I was a kid about being in like my bathtub, but it had no sides or bottom. I just water everywhere and it's going dark. This is like I was 3 or 4.
Ichabod, you were in the bathtub.
Yeah, but there was no bottom or sides. My mom freaks out, so then she goes, "Tell me if you have the nightmares keep coming." So they kept coming, and then I would like keep having nightmares, but I didn't want to tell her.
Let me ask you something. You're afraid of large bodies of water. Are you afraid of small bodies of water as well? Do you take showers regularly?
Yeah.
Every day?
No, I'm fine. I feel like I'm gonna drown, or that's like, one of those dreams where it's forecasting.
what's that called? What's that called? Being afraid of water for real?
Hydrophobic.
Hydrophobic. It's the only serious thing he said all day. You suffer from hydrophobia as well.
Yeah.
Well, he knows because he lives in a sewer when he's,
Whoa, what's up, dude?
Oh, God.
Oh, say, Tony.
Ichabod, did you know we have a sword here? No. Well,
You take your sunglasses off. Do lasers shoot out of your eyes? What is that?
Oh, is that X-Men?
I had a question for Ichabod. Ichabod, is it true what you said? Do you really love hookers? Is that true? You heard? Yeah. Is there anything interesting that you make them do when you have one come over? You like try to pay them extra, see if they do anything freaky, or are you just like a blowjob, sex, missionary position kind of guy? Or
And how much hooker money do you have on you right now?
yeah.
How much of Uncle Ron's hooker money did you spend? How much did
Well, if you kill them afterwards, you don't have to pay them. You know, guys.
I used to be
You learned that from Jonathan.
used to be what? Sorry?
Oh.
So you got a cop. You get demoted for what? Wait, you were a hooker's assistant.
You went to Starbucks and got her lattes before she sucked.
That's like, you have a pimp, and then the hooker has an assistant?
All right,
I ain't saying you to get slapped around for it.
It looks like Ichabod took the majority of the slaps in this one.
Yeah.
I'm tapping out. Can you finish sucking this dick for me? When was the last time you were with a hooker?
10 years.
10 years.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Oh, you knew it was sex?
What?
You like feet? Are you a feet guy? What's your thing? What are you into with the ladies? Favorite part of the lady?
Sometimes I get wild and introduce them to my mother.
What's your favorite part of the female anatomy?
Jagged teeth.
What's your favorite part of the...
I think his battery just ran out.
I'm dying to get an answer to that. Something in my gut's telling me it's going to be so good when he finally says it. What's the most beautiful part of a woman to you?
Good conversation.
So basically the throat. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God. Good concentration conversation. What's the coolest thing you ever talked to a hooker about? Can we do a thing where you close your eyes and talk to a fake hooker right now in front of everybody? We have one that's over the loudspeakers willing to talk to you.
not figure out how her phone works.
It's an old school hooker, too.
Yeah.
She's at school?
This hooker is in a firehouse.
Is this first period of hooker school? Vegas hooker school.
I think Julian just rode his bike home.
Hey, the hooker's on the phone for you. Go ahead, hooker.
Hungry.
You're hungry now? I love it. Congratulations on your first lunch date! Wow. I feel like this is one of those shows where a lot of the fans are going to see some of the fans of the show talking about being fans. Like, they come on, they're like, am I going to turn into that at some point?
That they drove in from Vegas.
Yeah. One more time for Ron K and Ichabod. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it's all about the crazy shit that can happen with a random bucket. I'm going to show you right now the drawing from Ryan J. Ebel. How about that? He did this with his fucking hands while you guys were all for free in a showroom. Ryan J. Ebel drew that shit. That's freaky. I don't know how you.
Ron, what do you see?
Guys, we did it. Where do we begin? Reagan Watkins. Jeremiah Watkins, guys.
At Jeremiah Stand Up, at Patty Reagan, and Joel Jimenez is at Mostly Sorry on Twitter.
Yes, Joel Jimenez. Double. Yes. Patty Reagan.
Hit us up.
The man, the myth, the legend, Patty Reagan. Tell your friends. Pat Reagan smells like shit. And what's the other one again?
Other
What?
other music.
Over and over again. Jason,
And you.
you're on Twitter, Eric Griffin. ERIGRIFFIN.
Yes.
Gentlemen,
Thank you very much. I'm at creepycomedy.com. Go to my website, michaelcosta.com. That's got everything. Thank you very much. I love this having me as a guest.
yes.
Cool.
This is his website. He's touring everywhere. We're touring everywhere. TonyHitchSquad.tv. Brian Redband, bring us home. Josh Martin, comic, runaround producer. Brian.
Denver this week, New York City next week.
My audience, thank you. Good night.
For a brand new episode of Kill Tony by 3. Get up for Tony Hedgecock.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. Oh, my goodness. I am so excited to be back with you. We're the number one live podcast in the world.
Yeah.
Sometimes even I forget the number one ranked live podcast in the world. And you are here at its home in the belly room every other week we're in the main room. But sometimes it's just more fun to play in a shoebox. You know what I mean? Just get all right on top of one another so you can get close to the action.
What's up, Sluts? No one really knows for sure. Ellie by Ellie, Day by Ellie King. But this is what we live by. 22nd of Saban, 5786, Sunday, June 7th. We've been doing this bitch 163 days. 3761, creation of the world, birth of Adam and Eve, Chava. 3631, 130, Seth, son of Adam, was born. 3526, 235, Enosh, son of Seth, was born. 3436, 325, Kenan, son of Enosh, was born. 3366, 395, Mahalo, son of Kenan, was born. 3301, 460, Yerd, son of Mahalo, was born. 3139, 622, Chana, son of Yerd, was born. 3074, 687, Methuselah, son of Chanukh, was born. 2887, 874, Atlantic, 2, son of Methuselah, was born.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband Ryan died. He never thought he would ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With me, though, signing up was fast and 100%. He made me for 30 seconds, appliances, I get same day coverage, no medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful. Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
West Side Camp.
I'm Dr. Justin Sledge, and welcome to Esoterica, where we explore the arcane in history, philosophy, and religion. One of the most difficult aspects in starting to study Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah is getting a handle on just how those ideas developed over time. It's tempting to think that, for instance, Kabbalah has just always existed in the form that we have it, or that Kabbalah is just one thing at all. Of course, neither of these positions is really tenable. Such notions developed greatly through the ages and are still developing. And there are now, and there have always been, numerous mutually exclusive schools of Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. This class is meant to serve as an introduction to Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah from the point of view of its incredibly complex development from the prophets of ancient Israel and to the rise of modern Judaism in the 18th century. Of course, the series isn't meant to be exhaustive by any means, but only should serve as a springboard for deeper study and reflection. And hopefully it will also enable you to situate developments in Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah in their historical and cultural context, and hopefully embolden you to dive into the primary texts, which are admittedly as sublime as they are obscure. Let me express my gratitude to Congregation Tchia for allowing me to use these lectures to reach a larger audience here on Esoterica. If you want, you can find the entire series under the playlist Entering the Garden, an Introduction to Jewish Mysticism and Kabbalah. I'll be uploading them over the next next few weeks, or if you find these episodes after autumn of 2021 and you want to watch the entire series, you can find them in that playlist. If you find this series on Kabbalah interesting, I'd hope you check out my other content on topics in esotericism and perhaps consider supporting the production of free academic and scholarly topics in occultism, hermetic philosophy, Patreon, or perhaps with a one-time donation. You can find those links below, and I really appreciate your consideration. Now, let's enter the garden of Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. Well, I want to say welcome back. Welcome back this evening to the second part of our 10-session walk through Jewish mysticism, right? Years away. It's still way off in the distance. So we're still very much in a time period right around the turn of the Common Era. That is to say, around the year 0, right? That's if you want to get an anchor of where we are. And just to recap a bit, right? Just to recap a little bit from last time to sort of see where we are in the lay of the land. We defined mysticism, at least for the purposes of this class, which doing things like defining mysticism makes it certain that everybody will disagree with you that studies this stuff. So
what is this bullshit?
I'm going to define mysticism. It's like putting a target on my back. But the way that I want to define it is as a non-rational mode in which one experiences or learns about fundamental reality, and also the traditions that accrue around those experiences. So I would call someone, for instance, that studies mysticism for the idea that those mystics learned fundamental truths, even though perhaps that person themselves didn't have those experiences. I would also consider that person a mystic. So I would say that there's also the idea that you lean on the mystics to learn what they learn, and that puts you in the tradition of folks who are, in fact, mystics. And there's an entire tradition of Judaism of what we'll call intellectual mystics. Those much later, and intellectual mystics are those that say, look, I never had this experience, but I trust that this person did, and I think that they're fundamentally right. So that's also, I think, another form of mysticism that actually doesn't involve mystical experiences. And as I mentioned last time, the first Jewish mystics weren't even Jewish. The first Jewish mystics were Israelites, which is a much broader category. Remember that the Jews received that name, the Yehudim received that name as being the descendants of one of the tribes that comprise the 12 tribes of Israel. And so Jewish mystics actually make up a minority of this. So many of the prophets we have in the Hebrew Bible are from all over. They're not necessarily Judahites. And we said that the two forms of mysticism that seem to have been prevalent in Israelite society at that time were folks who experienced theophany. That is to say, God showed up to them, God appeared to them. And on the other hand, for other people, God spoke to them. And if you speak on the behalf of God, that makes you a navi, a prophet. Although sometimes those folks are referred to as ro'eh, as seers. So the idea there is that we have the idea that either those folks can see the future or they hear something from God and they communicate that to other people. And those folks we typically refer to as the prophets. And the most important theophanies in the Hebrew Bible, historically speaking at least, we don't think that the theophany described in Exodus, where God showed up to the Israelites and to Moses, we're fairly confident that that's a mythological piece of information, not a historical one. But we are relatively confident, many scholars are relatively confident, that the prophets Isaiah and Ezekiel did have some kind of phenomenological encounter. In that encounter, they recorded in the literature of the book of Isaiah and the book of Ezekiel, respectively. Now, the idea that, now you might be wondering, right, how can you say that Moses didn't exist? Well, it's not about whether he did or didn't, it's about what we have evidence for. And we just don't have evidence, really, to believe that happened. But we have pretty good evidence to believe that the experiences of Isaiah and Ezekiel were in fact recorded. And as we talked about last time, prophecy is very well attested all over the ancient Near East, with the weird exception of Egypt. Egypt is kind of prophet-free, which all things being equal, sounds great. I wouldn't want to live anywhere. I don't want any prophets in my neighborhood. I don't want any guy walking down my street screaming at people because they're like, woe to the disbelievers, Yahweh's going to kill you all.
I'm like, I'm going to call the cops on you again. So I don't want to live anywhere near prophets. And so Egypt seems like a pretty great place to be profit-free. But at any rate, we saw last time that there are a great deal of prophets that live all through the ancient Near East, and especially in the Neo-Assyrian context, which tracks very carefully, very temporally to the ancient Israelite context. And so we actually know a great deal about, a good deal about those other ancient Near East prophets. We also know that one of the things that happened in the ancient Near Eastern world were prophetic duels. They just didn't take prophets' words for granted because they kind of seemed crazy. And if they seem crazy to you, they seem kind of crazy to people back then too, right? Just because you see Jesus in your toast doesn't mean Jesus is in your toast. It might be that you might need help. And so many people in the ancient world also thought, right, this guy's just drunk, right? And there's many cases in the Bible where people do prophecy and other people are like, yeah, they're drunk. And so this was an idea. And so we see other ancient Near East cultures engaging in prophecy and other mechanisms by which to detect whether a prophecy is reliable or duels between prophets to establish which prophets are actually telling the truth. Prophetic duels needs to be a video game. Just saying. It's a fighting game with prophets. And what brings prophecy to an end and what sets us up for our transition to tonight is that, as you may remember, part of what happens in the theophany literature of the Hebrew Bible is that the God of the Israelites, Yahweh, makes himself known by revealing a bunch of very inconvenient rules. And by revealing all these very inconvenient rules, the idea is that the Israelites are bound to follow those rules, and Yahweh will protect them and give them the land and provide for them to have large families and agricultural surplus. Well, what ends up happening is that for various reasons, the Israelite state is destroyed and the Judean state is destroyed. When your entire theology is founded on a vassal contract, right, and your vassal, the person who justifies your vassal relationship, gets defeated, well, that's the end of that. And so, again, it's like you're living in a house and your landlord gets bought out by, some sketchy investment firm. Well, you got a new landlord. You have no longer a relationship with the old landlord. Well, now you got to deal with other gods. And so the Israelites have some pretty complicated problems in their hands. And the pretty complicated problem on their hand is we've predicated an entire theology on one system, and it didn't work. Our God seems like either God is defeated or we're defeated, and what now? Right? What do you do now with the awkward relationship with your former landlord? And so what's going to happen is that's going to increasingly go away, right? And a new form of religiosity is going to emerge. And that new form of religiosity that's going to emerge is going to be a new kind of mysticism. And that new kind of mysticism is what scholars typically refer to as the apocalyptic. All right. Tanakh pop quiz. I bet you know this is coming. So Tanakh pop quiz, and this is a trick question because, of course, it is. You're in a class about mysticism. Does anyone here know, and feel free to put it in the chat, where in the Tanakh are the events surrounding the Hanukkah story recorded? So I think I should say they're not. That's the answer that's the less wrong answer. You're certainly right, they're not recorded straightforwardly. Anyone know where the events of the Hanukkah story are actually depicted in the Tanakh? Not in the Apocrypha, like in the book of Maccabees, but in Tanakh, in the Hebrew Bible, in the Old Testament, as you may know it. Everybody's like, why are you asking damn questions like this? I'm the one taking this class, right? So actually, you are right. It is not described transparently in Tanakh. It is, however, described encodedly in the book of Daniel. It is actually encoded in the book of Daniel. Book in the Hebrew Bible, it's in some ways one of the most confusing, but historical scholars of the Hebrew Bible, scholars of the book of Daniel, are fairly confident that encoded in a very elaborate system of symbols, the story of the conquest of Syria, Judea by Alexander the Great,
civil wars between his generals that led to the various empires like the Ptolemies and the Seleucids, also with the rise of the Romans and the period of the Maccabean Rebellion, are in fact described using coded language in the book of Daniel in chapters 7 through 12. If you've never read the book of Daniel, it's a very weird book, and by the way, it's one of the few books in the Hebrew Bible that actually has extensive sections actually written in Aramaic. In chapters 7 through 12, there is a section that is encoded using a very elaborate system of symbols. This section of the book of Daniel is that the writer, whoever's writing it, is describing the very beginning of the Maccabean Rebellion, right? But they never describe the end of it. Now, that leaves an open question. Why don't they describe the eventual success of the Maccabeans? And they're very pro-Maccabean, at least they're kind of tempered on the Maccabean, actually. But people were, because they were fine. Anyone that wasn't a religious zealot, everybody killed, just FYI. Everybody. They would have gladly killed all of us for being like not them. Which is always weird about Hanukkah. Hanukkah's a complicated idea if you're a progressive, liberal-minded Jewish person. Because they're like, yeah, I'm celebrating the very people that would have literally, it's the Taliban, the Taliban of Judaism. At any rate, we don't know why they don't finish. We don't know. They may have just died. You know, it was a war, and the Maccabees didn't like people who can, I don't know, read. And so they may have just got killed. It may have just gotten killed. And so we don't see the end of it. But what's interesting about it is we now have a really good idea about when the book was written, at least those sections. They were written sometimes after the Maccabean revolt began, but before it ended. So we know it began around 160 and it concluded around 167 BCE. So we have a good idea about where that section of Daniel, when it was written down. Now, why would people encode things in strange language? Why would people encode things in weird symbols? Well, because it's a new kind of literature emerging, a new kind of religiosity emerging in the aftermath of the demise of the prophetic period, and that new kind of religiosity is what we call apocalypticism. Also, by the way, describing current events as if they're taking place far in the future is what we call in the literature ex eventu prophecy. The vast majority of historical prophets did not predict the future. We'll talk more about the ones that tried and failed in a minute. But the vast majority of prophets who describe all kinds of weird things, and I'm sure folks have read some sections from the book of Daniel or the book of Revelation written by St. John. Or Nostradamus, right? If folks have read any Nostradamus, it's always weird stuff like an eagle. An eagle comes from the east and attacks the great bear, and the bear follows the sun, and the sun turns to blood, and you're like, what in the hell are you talking about? They're not describing the future. They're actually describing the present using encoded language, right? This is what we call ex eventu prophecy. They're describing things that have happened using codes. Why would they do that? Well, because it might be politically expedient to be a little cryptic, right? Because again, what is one of the things these people like to do? Criticize the standard order of things. And do you really want to be the person living in the Roman Empire being like, the Roma, and I hate them, and God killed them all soon? You want to publish that? You don't want to publish that because they'll crucify you for it. So what do you write? Well, the kid team, right, will arise from the sea, and then blah, 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 right? You encode it. And the encoding mechanism is part of the apocalyptic literature. So what isn't apocalyptic? That's the first thing we need to do. I know, right, that when most people hear the word apocalypticism, they're thinking end of the world. They're thinking all the crazy stuff happens at the end of the world. The Messiah's going to come, and there's going to be this and that, and the Battle of Gog and Magog, and there's going to be all this stuff that happens at the end of the world, the Battle of Megiddo, whatever. And so many people typically imagine that what apocalypticism is about the future, because the word apocalypticism has been filtered so heavily through Christianity, and Christianity does tend to think of the apocalypse as like something happening in the future, although early Christians thought it was going to happen pretty soon in their lifetime. Jesus kind of dragging his feet. They really thought it was going to happen soon. But this idea that it's going to happen in the future is an idea really from Christianity that has sort of shadowed and flavored the way that we use this word.
Most apocalyptic writers, most prophets for that matter, in the Hebrew Bible and the Jewish tradition, don't do much in the way of trying to predict the future. They just don't. In fact, the most famous case where anyone tried to predict the future in the Hebrew Bible is in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 26, where Ezekiel made what at the time was the single most predictable prediction that one could predict. That is, Nebuchadnezzar would destroy Tyre. Well, he predicted that because Nebuchadnezzar was destroying everything. Everything, right? It's just like predicting, right? It's like American imperialism will continue. Yep, it's going on, right? It's a completely normal thing to predict. And then they attacked Tyre, and it didn't work. Nebuchadnezzar was repulsed. And so Ezekiel himself actually has to come back later. He actually comes back in the same book and says, well, what I meant was, he has to reinterpret his own prophecy to explain the fact that he was wrong, even though it was a completely, actually predictable thing. So making predictions, especially clear predictions, is a bad idea, right? Folks may know the very famous quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, right? It never hurts a prophet to be too vague, right? If you predict on Tuesday, March 22nd, 2029, that blah, 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 well, your prophetic career rests on that. And they don't predict the future by and large, right? And in general, this thing. By the way, that whole Nebuchadnezzar thing for people who are biblical literates is a real pain in their tuchus, because they have to go back and explain why the Bible, why a prophet got it wrong, and then why a prophet admits he got it wrong, and then how he put a spin on it to fix it, and then they further spin it to further fix it. And my favorite example is, yeah, it eventually got conquered by Alexander the Great. 400 years later, somebody conquered it. So Ezekiel wasn't totally wrong. I'm like, really? That's the best you got? Okay. Most Jewish apocalyptic texts just don't have much interest in the end of the world. In fact, when they do describe the end of the world, they almost always lean on Hellenistic ideas. And those Hellenistic ideas, specifically the Stoic idea, was that basically God was going to trash everything at the end. That there was going to be some kind of global conflagration, that the world would be destroyed by a giant fire. That was a very common idea in the ancient world. And so, in many ways, the predictions they do give about the end of the world are themselves just the popular ones. If you were to go to a Greek philosopher at the time and ask, what's going to happen at the end of the world? They say, the Logos, the fire, is going to consume the whole world. They're like, sounds reasonable. It's not even really, in some sense, a Jewish idea as it is a Hellenistic idea. It's a Greek idea. So let's put some context on this, right? I'm gonna say what the apocalyptic is in just a minute, but I want to put some context on this. What you have to understand about the rise of the apocalyptic is a time period in which it emerged. The political and theological upheavals that lasted from roughly about 586 BCE, when Judea was destroyed, the last independent Jewish state was destroyed, all the way up to around 135 of the Common Era, where the last attempt at an independence movement on the behalf of the indigenous people of Judea, Jews, against the Romans, led by Bar Kokhba, was defeated, with hundreds of thousands of Jewish people being killed in the process. What's important to understand about this political and theological landscape is that there is a major breakdown, as I mentioned earlier, in the theology of the time. As I mentioned earlier, right, this entire theology is built on what is called, which is again the idea that Yahweh and Israel have a covenant, and that covenant works in the way that the Israelites perform religious duties and Yahweh gives them stuff, right? So that way it's supposed to work. The prophets, they're themselves, was that sort of voice for God, telling the Israelites, you're doing wrong, you're breaking the contract, and if you persist in this, God's going to punish you. God's going to break the contract. Well, after everything comes completely apart, beginning in the 8th century BCE, but by the 6th century BCE, the entire Judahite state is completely destroyed. There's just a serious problem. And the serious problem is, if the prophets were right, and if every single Judahite was massacred, well, that would have brought the prophecy to conclusion, right? You broke the treaty, and everyone's dead. Done.
right? And that would have been a very neat, and I say neat, I mean not untidy, except for all the gore of everybody massacred, but it would have been a very tidy story theologically. Well, what happened? The Babylonians didn't kill everybody. They took the entire Judean aristocratic section into exile in Judea. Not in the land, right? Not in their own land, but in Babylon. And not only that, they had a good time. We have extensive records of the Jewish population living in ancient Babylon. And we know they were living relatively well. They owned slaves. They had businesses. In fact, their life was so good in Babylon, in exile, that when the Jewish people were allowed to return to Israel, to Judea, by the Persians, many didn't want to go. They're like, why do I want to return to like a rock that has no inhabitable land? I can live here by these rivers, and we can like live in good, but this is a great empire. So they didn't want to go home. And so home, right? Because they weren't born there. They were diaspora Jews living in Babylon in comfort and security. Why go back to a wasteland to rebuild something, right, that isn't that great after all? It's like a rock in the middle of the Judean desert. And this was a big problem. In fact, there had to be Jewish people actually pressuring them to go back. So again, when we talk about the Babylonian exile and weeping by the rivers of the Euphrates or whatever, a lot of those Jews were not weeping by those rivers. They were very happy to be in exile in Babylon. And we know that because we have records of them living there. The problem, again, is a theological problem. They're still there. They still believe in Yahweh. What do you do when the prophecy meant that you were supposed to be destroyed and you weren't destroyed? So, does God make a new deal with us? Should we still believe in Yahweh? Like, the temple destroyed? What's going on? What do we do with this Yahweh thing? The covenant doesn't make sense anymore. The covenantal theology doesn't make sense because there's a remainder that contradicts it. So, what do you do? What do you do? Well, there's a couple different options. You could try to maintain the old covenantal theology, and some people did try to do that. But you can see the logical problem of trying to maintain it. The covenant's been broken, the Judahite state's been destroyed, and its aristocracy moved to Babylon. They're still alive. What to do with that? That's a real problem. Well, what arises as a way of settling that problem, right? The way of settling that problem is by shifting your theology, right? Never let a good catastrophe go to waste. You simply innovate your theology. And what ends up emerging is a new kind of Judahite theology. In fact, I might even argue that Israelite religion went into exile, but Judaism came back. The religion that the ancient Israelites practiced would be unrecognizable to anyone here. Like killing animals, burning beer and grain to appease a sky god. No one here recognizes a religion like that. But what comes out of exile is a theologically renovated religion that is much more like the Judaism that we might recognize now. So what happens is that they innovate. They theologically innovate. They develop a new theology that maintains the trappings of the old covenantal theology, but radically philosophically changes what it all means. And so, what are those kinds of changes? The first big change is that Yahweh can't just be the God of Israel anymore. To make this work, Yahweh has to be a God of everything. Not just God of Israel and what the other gods existing out there in the world, like this is what we call henotheism, right? Your God exists, my God exists, but my God can be of your God. That's what the Israelites basically believed. Now, the new shift is, not only can my God be of your God's not real. There's just one God. Monotheism emerges in the aftermath of this catastrophe. So the God of the Israelites is now said to be the only God, and that God is responsible for everything. And not just responsible for everything, but responsible for everything forever. God has a plan for the entire cosmos. Right? This is going to be decisively important. God is planning everything, and everything is according to that plan, no matter how confusing it is. In fact, the worse it is evidence for the fact that God is preparing something amazing. Right? So this kind of theology is going to be decisively important in this matter. So what also has to happen here, right, is that the Israelites, right, are going to have to begin to change the way they think about their relationship to this God. And the problem is, this God's going to have to tell them what in the world all this means. We just have this covenant, and it's supposed to do like this, and this is supposed to happen if we keep it, and this is supposed to happen if we don't. And we're still here. What's happening? Well, what ends up emerging, is that new kinds of prophets emerge in which God shows them the plan. Right? Again, hear the language here, right? The older prophets heard God and communicated what God said. The new kind of prophecy sees what God's showing them, right? It communicates what God shows them in literature. So this is a much more literary movement, and it's a much more visual movement. And it's so distinct that we now think of it as a distinct kind of religiosity. It's not prophecy. They're not speaking on behalf of God. They're describing what God has shown them, what God has revealed to them. And that is a completely different phenomenological mode of experiencing mysticism. Right? A very different kind of mysticism indeed. Now, what precipitates this? How do they get the ability to, what underwrites this? And the answer is really complicated, and the short answer is, we don't know. We don't know. Because we don't have good records about how this goes down. The best theory I've seen is that what ends up happening is that the Judahites go into exile and they come in contact with an up-and-coming important religion called Zoroastrianism. Now, you have to understand that when the Judahite aristocracy goes into exile, the Judahite aristocracy is still a relatively, what's the right word to describe this here? The ancient Babylonians are like the New Yorkers of the ancient world. They're cosmopolitan, they're literate, they have an ancient culture that's been there for 1,000 years. They are wealthy, they have multiple giant temples, each of which is larger than the Israelite temples. A metropolis on an order of magnitude that the ancient Judahites could not imagine. Ancient 1,000 people, right, with that little temple there that was, not much bigger than a basketball arena, right? You're talking about an aristocracy that is a relatively backwater people coming into contact with an incredibly old, incredibly literate, right? When the Judahites wanted to write diplomatic documents, they wrote it in the language of the Babylonians, Akkadian. When they arrived in Babylon, they must have been bowled over by the bumpkinhood of their existence compared to the Babylonians. Again, this is like the Mississippi aristocracy being conquered and then dragged off to New York, right? You just can't imagine the shell shock of what must have happened. Furthermore, they're coming in contact with a very dynamic new religion called Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism is, of course, a reform religion founded by the prophet Zoroaster, who we don't know much about. Even when he lived, that it will sound immediately obvious they believed. So, Zoroastrianism is a basically dualistic religion. A good God and an evil God are locked into a kind of battle for the destiny of the world. The forces of good are represented by non-physical spiritual entities. Non-physical spiritual entities are in combat with other non-physical spiritual entities that serve the bad guys, the demons, right? That structure is there. Now, this good versus evil dualism is going to result in a titanic, catastrophic battle at the end of time. The forces of good will win. They will throw the forces of evil into a neither world, right? And not only that, there are even Zoroastrian prophets who are given tours of the underworld. Those tours of the underworld filtered their way up to Europe, and we're fairly confident that Dante Alighieri was influenced by them. The Divine Comedy is probably being influenced by these tours of hell of the Zoroastrian literature. Now, near the end of the world, there's going to be a savior figure, Saoshan, who will lead the forces of good against the forces of evil, and
At the end of time, everyone will be resurrected bodily. They will be judged, right? And there is a massive set of literature, right, being composed by Zoroaster. And the idea is that your relationship to Scripture is more important in many ways than doing sacrifice, like sacrificing animals. Those priests, by the way, are called magi. You may recognize them from the Bible, right? Those are the guys that show up to adore the baby Jesus. At any rate, that should all sound pretty familiar to most of us. If you take a little Judaism and add a little Zoroastrianism to it, shake it up in your cocktail shaker, pour it in a glass, you have all the ingredients for a great cocktail called Christianity, or Islam, or apocalyptic Judaism. Now again, many people detest the idea that Judaism could be influenced, informed, changed by non-Jewish pagan people. I got news for you. When the Jewish people arrived in this area, they would have viewed the Zoroastrians as a completely intellectually superior people. And I can guarantee you influenced by them. They would have been influenced by them. So Zoroastrianism probably has a huge impact. And in fact, many ways, Zoroastrianism has a huge impact in world religions in general. Music, you may know Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of Queen. He was a Zoroastrian. So thank God for Zoroastrians. They produced the least Freddie Mercury among all. So sadly, it's a threatened religion now. It's a very tiny religion, primarily located in Iran, America, and in Iraq, or in India rather. But they're not doing that great, unfortunately. They're pretty small. So we've now talked a little bit about the groundwork for apocalypticism. What is it, right? We call it a religious mode. And I use the word mode there for folks who have some background in philosophy, right? A mode of being. It's a way of doing religion. It's not a religion itself, but it's an articulation within a religion. It began to exist primarily in Judaism, but obviously it will persist into Christianity. In fact, Christianity is just, in many ways, apocalyptic Judaism perfected. It's when, in fact, apocalypticism becomes the religion, right? It's when the shift completely goes over to one side, and the apocalyptic is what really matters, and Judaism becomes an adjunct riding on the tails of the apocalypticism. One can imagine Christianity that way, but also in Islam. Islam is also largely an apocalyptic religion. Again, it's based on a guy being shown things by an angel. It's fundamentally an apocalyptic religion. So what makes the apocalyptic? Now, what's important to know about this is that no one sat down in Judea or in Babylon and said, I'm going to invent apocalypticism. What they did was be religious, and they innovated. And the specific religious innovations that they developed, we now call apocalypticism. Right? So it's very important to note here, this is a scholarly term applied to an ancient people. And it's always important to know that when you do that, when you apply a schema to ancient people, it never fits perfectly. Right? Now, some things are left in, but it's such a stable kind of scheme that we do think that this is an important and decisive break with the prophetic religion of ancient Israel. So what makes apocalypticism? The first thing is what I mentioned here at the last, but I'll mention it first, because the last will be first and the first. Is the name apocalypticism, right? It comes from the word apokalypsis in Greek, which means to reveal or to uncover. And what's important about this with literature is that what tends to group it all together is the idea that God is revealing something fundamental to the person, to the apocalyptic prophet. God's not speaking to the apocalyptic prophet, telling them, go condemn, some Israelite king, right? Go condemn those people for being bad and being rich. That's the way a prophet like Amos worked. God spoke, and Amos went and said, right, woe to you people, cows of Bashan. No, here we have God revealing various kinds of things to a human agent. And typically, that's being mediated by a divine, semi-divine being, typically an angel. So an angel shows up and says, let me show you something. And what do they show them? All kinds of things. What kinds of things? Typically things like cosmology. Apocalyptic Judaism is very interested in how the universe works. If you've ever read the Hebrew Bible, one of the things that is weirdly missing from the Hebrew Bible is any discussion of how the world is arranged, right? There's some vague discussions in the book of Genesis, but there's no real sense of like, what is the world exactly?
Because they're not really interested in what is the world exactly, right? They're interested in what's going on in Judea with this king. So cosmology becomes very, very important in the apocalyptic mode of Judaism. Also, they're very interested in the past. This is sometimes ironic, considering that most people think of apocalypticism as primarily dealing with the future, but mostly the apocalypticists are interested in the past. So they're very interested in how did we get here? And the thing that they're very interested in is where did evil come from, right? Because if evil is in the world and it's out there, what kind of existence does it have? And they're very interested in where it came from. You'll never see much in the Hebrew Bible about discussing the origins of evil, right? Even the whole talking snake in the Garden of Eden, the writer of that story in the book of Genesis never says, and that's where all evil comes from. It names some things, right? You go out to work for your bread, and women's child pain and the pain in having a child will increase. By the way, it says that the pain will increase. It never says it wasn't. It just went worse, right? So it never says, and that's why everything went off the rails, right? The apocalypticists will be very interested in this. Also, they're very interested in the use of symbolism, right? The Bible doesn't do much in the way of symbolism often, right? But the apocalypticists will be very interested in symbolism. They're in fact virtually encoding their writings. And also, again, as I mentioned earlier with the eggs of into prophecy, they're going to be really interested in engaging in the same kind of social criticism that we saw in the historical Israelite prophets, but they're going to be doing it in a way that, in a literary form, in which they encode those criticisms by describing them as if they're happening in the future, right? So they describe present events in an encoded way as if they're happening in the future. That's going to be a tip-off for an apocalyptic writer. Amos didn't encode anything. He called people cows for being rich. He's like, you people are bad because you're rich and God hates you. Like, he's not encoding anything. Like, he's not like, and the cows will eat and become fat of the land. No, he's like, I hate you people and God hates you too, right? That's not what these apocalyptic folks do. Also, what they're really interested in is oppression, right? They're very interested in oppression and tribulation. Specifically, why do bad things keep happening to us? If our God is the only God, and we have a special relationship with this God, the Greeks just like whip our ass. Like, we just get by the Romans. They just killed like a bunch of us. Like, what's going on, God? Right? That's a real important question to ask, right? I mean, we all ask the sort of like, why bad things happen to good people question. It's like, why did we all get wiped out? Or most of us. They're very interested in why this tribulation's happening, right? And again, I say tribulation. The idea is it's real bad for a while, but for the apocalypticists, God has a plan. And not only that, the apocalypticists claim to know the plan, right? They claim to know the plan. They're also at some level interested in the end of the world, right? Now, when I say end of the world, what they're really interested in is the righteous and the wicked being separated, and the righteous being rewarded, and the wicked being damned. There's no hint of that in Israelite religion. Everybody in Israelite religion went to the same underworld, Sheol. It doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person. You went to the same place and it sucked. Well, the apocalyptists say that's not fair. Bad people will get punished. This idea comes directly probably from Zoroastrianism, right? So bad people get punished and the good people will get rewarded. That's the extent, really, of how things are going to go down in the future. And of course, right, why does that make sense? Well, it makes sense because a lot of good people, or at least people who they thought they were good, were suffering enormously under foreign occupation. They're also interested in otherworldly journeys, right? They'll go on journeys of the various realms of heaven, or they'll go on journeys to the various parts of the afterlife. It's very dualistic. That is to say, the world in apocalyptic literature is very starkly divided between the good guys and the bad guys, right? If the good guys are going to win and the bad guys are going to lose, you don't see that in Israelite religion. In Israelite religion, the prophets are, you're doing bad, but if you do good, God will not punish you. In apocalypticism is, you are bad, and God is going to destroy you. It's a much more dualistic world. Which again, if you study history, in times of intense political crisis, right, dualism emerges. The good guys and the bad guys, right? Whether it's the bourgeoisie and proletariat, right, or whether it's the sons of light versus the sons of darkness, polarize the world, and that's often how you describe
And again, I think Marxism is a kind of apocalypticism in many ways. He would hate that idea, but he can happily roll in his grave. Paying back some of that anti-Semitism on the Jewish question. So anyway, right? Also, what's really important about apocalypticism is someone's going to fix all this, right? Because clearly, if you look at the time period being conquered by the Greeks, being conquered by the Romans, being massacred by various people, it's pretty clear that we're not going to be the ones to fix this. And so what do they say? There's going to be some kind of savior figure who's going to enter and fix all this. And that, of course, as it ferments a little while, becomes the fine line of messianism. That some person, or persons, by the way, early messianism never agreed about how many it would be. Many people thought it would be 2 messiahs. And one of those would die, right? And another one would become a military general and win. So ancient Judaism was never clear about there being just one Messiah. Many sections of Judaism actually believe there would be at least 2. So, right? Now the Christians fix that by like having him die and come back later. They're just waiting on that last part. So they kind of roll into one. Also, there's all kind of anti-Messiah characters, right? If you have a good guy fighting for the good guys, you're going to have a bad guy fighting for the bad guys. That's the Antichrist. And there are lots of different stories about the bad guys, right? Christianity really likes the bad guys too. And they make for good guys. The structure of heaven and hell is going to be a big part of the apocalyptic world. If they're going to describe to you where you're going to go when you die or when you get resurrected, they want you to know about it. And if there's really vivid depictions of the hellish worlds in the afterlife, it's pretty motivating. Like, I don't want to go there where they like boil you in excrement forever. That sounds bad. I don't want to go there. I'm going to be a good guy, right? So they're very interested in the structures of the various heaven hells, and they're also interested in the idea that behind the scenes of what's apparent to us, the world is actually being dominated by a vast majority of spiritual creatures. Typically, we now know them as angels and demons. And so, again, if you look at the Hebrew Bible, they're basically very little in terms of angels and demons. They kind of show up from time to time, right? But in the apocalyptic, they are everywhere. Angels and demons are literally all around you, engaging in titanic spiritual warfare for the destiny of the world, right? And every country has its own angel. Right? Michael's the angel of this country, Gabriel's the angel of this country, and every country has their own demon, etc. The scale of things is also bigger. In Israelite literature, they kind of don't like the Egyptians, and they kind of don't like the Assyrians. But you never have a global analysis of the world, because they're kind of a parochial people. The apocalyptic writers are not parochial. They imagine the entire world divided into countries, and they explain political science in terms of this spiritual battles that are going on behind the scenes that we don't see. Their literature, which we'll talk about more in just a moment, is typically pseudo-anonymous, although they like to claim that very ancient people wrote them. So Enoch wrote this, or Abraham wrote this, or Shem, right, wrote this. So they like to allege ancient authorship, because, if it's just like Menachem, the dude down the street, wrote this, who cares, right? Like, Manny wrote a book about angels? Oh, yeah, Manny, the guy they like fix their shoes. Like, the hell does he know, right? So, Manny the shoe guy, Manny the cover was like, nah, Enoch wrote this, right? And so he puts Enoch's name on it, right? A patriarch who never died and was like, Noah's grandfather, whatever, father, Noah's father. Like, yeah, Enoch, that dude, yeah, he was real. Let's read his book. Right? So you throw a name like Abraham on there, and people are willing to read your book. They're not going to read Manny's book about the end of the world. No one cares about what Manny thinks. So let's talk about this literature, right? Let's get into what makes this work, right? Why would anyone write all this stuff down? Well, the first is historical and psychological. You're living as Judahites in a world of theological and political turmoil, right? Now, I don't know about you, I don't like turmoil. And when my life is in turmoil, one of the things I try to figure out is, why is this happening to me? Right? Because we think, because we're stupid, that if we understand something, we get power over it. You don't. Right? You can be real smart, and they basically just like throw you into a jail or whatever, right? But if bad things are happening to you, you want to understand why. there's no person I don't think of, right? You can be as existentialist as the day is long, right? And you're still going to want to know what's going on. Why is it happening? Right? Why is this happening? Very few people are going to suffer through immense, like, physical and psychological turmoil and think to themselves, okay, guess that just happened. Right? Most people don't do that. So what do? They try to explain why it's happening. Further, right? Not only do they want to explain why it's happening, they want to feel like it's not for no reason. No one likes the idea that you just went through a traumatic experience and it's meaningless. You're on a rock, free from the sun, in the middle of a void, and in 4 billion years, the sun's going to swallow this planet, and every bad thing that's ever happened to you is not only not going to be a memory, this Earth won't even exist. We don't want to, that doesn't make sense from a human perspective. We want to understand why our traumas are happening. We want our traumas to mean something. And so, what do they mean? Well, the overwhelming data we get from the apocalyptic is that God has planned everything in the world. Determined in the future, and that you're part of a plan. And what's the end of the world? Right? The world is going in a very specific direction, and God is going to make things right. Punishing the wicked, rewarding the righteous, this is all part of the plan. I think also Nietzsche a lot tonight. What's wrong with me? Right? I think Nietzsche said, right, that the person who has a why can endure any how. Right? The person that has a why can endure any how. People can get through anything as long as they have a reason why it's happening to them. Right? I think I may have the backwards. Right? And so the idea here, right, is that basically what you get is you get a reason why this is happening to you. And what's the reason? It's all part of a plan. And the apocalypticist has been revealed that plan. Lastly, a big part of this entire whole drama is that no one likes being colonized. No one likes country destroyed by foreigners moving into their country and taking all their stuff and enslaving them. No one's really about that. That's bad. And so you want to protest against it, right? You want to protest against the Algeria when the French come into Algeria and destroy that country. The Algerians are like, we ain't have it, right? And they protest against it. Now, one way of protesting is militarily trying to fight the Romans. You can try that. And people did. And they had very limited success. You can also write books about how they're bad, and God hates them, and God's going to judge them, and God's going to kill them eventually. Now, again, as I said earlier, you can't come out and just write that way, right? Boo the Romans. Tiberius sucks. God will kill him. And the Romans will be like, that's interesting. How would you like to be crucified? Right? So they're not going to do that. They're going to encode it. And if you know, you know, right? Hamavin Yavin, right? If you know, you know. And anyone who knew how to read this literature could read the code. They're like, yeah, the Romans, they don't get their ass whooped by this God and whoop their ass. And like, yeah. And the Romans are like, what are you reading? Nothing. Right? So that was a way of encoding this. Now, how does all this work? God has to tell you. God has to reveal to you the plan. You, the apocalyptic prophet. And that's what this literature is. It's the plan. It's the way the world is structured. God built the world. God structured the world. History itself is unfolding according to very set rules set down by God. And everything is part of the plan. Everything's part of the plan. And the apocalyptic literature is marked by that revealing, that uncovering. As you might imagine, in a world of turmoil, which, I know, Jewish people go through turmoil, right? Every once in a while, a little turmoil here and there, right? Little turmoil. You can imagine this was an incredibly persuasive form of religiosity. It explained why the world was the way it was, right? It described why bad things were happening. It told you where it all came from. It tells you how it's going to all end. And it tells you that the things that you're going through as a people, as an individual, are not random. And they're not punishment from God. Right? Also, by the old Israelite theology, every bad thing happening to you is punishment from Yahweh. Right? No. You're suffering because that's part of the plan in which Yahweh is secretly collaborating and is going to look these people. That idea, I don't know about you, right, is one of the most seductive ideas imaginable. And again, when I track this on to things like, again, folks may know, I wrote my dissertation on Marx. It's difficult to read much Marxist propaganda as anything other than repackaged apocalypse, right? It reads very much like an apocalyptic literature. Evil emerged with right, that's being driven forward by history, and eventually it's going to come to a cataclysmic battle, and after that, everything's going to be great, right? Dictatorship, proletariat, or whatever. You're like, didn't we heard this already, right? But Marx is like, it's material now, son. It's not God doing it, it's history. So you can see how influential this has been. The apocalyptic form of literature flourished for hundreds of years. One could even argue for 1,000 years, beginning roughly about 350 BCE and extending all the way through the Middle Ages, honestly, right? Because, Jews, the turmoil, it continued. And so the apocalyptic literature kept being produced. Christianity is an apocalyptic religion. It's a religion that more forcefully accepts the apocalyptic paradigm than any other form of Judaism, with the exceptions of the Essenes. Those folks looking at Qumran, the Dead Sea Scrolls, they believed it so much, by the way, that when the Jews revolted against the Romans, the folks that lived at that site, if Josephus can be trusted to do anything other than make Josephus look good, they fought. They thought the world was about to come to its final end. They tried to organize a resistance to the Romans. They were massacred in 2 battles. And guess what? They stored other scrolls in the caves near their buildings, and they never came back for them. Why? Because they thought this was part of the plan. Lucky for us, scrolls sat there more or less for a couple thousand years, and now we have them. And you can even see in the literature where they're planning for this battle, even describing the banners and horns that they will be blowing and carrying in the battle. And I bet you, when that legion of Roman soldiers were like, why are they blowing horns and stuff, right? And they think that's going to work. And then the Romans massacred them, and they left their scrolls there. Apocalypse is a hell of a drug. I mean, like, when you literally believe God's going to intervene on your behalf at the very last moment to save you, if that's your battle plan, stay home, right? If that's your strategy, and that was their strategy, it seems. Many of the big books of the Hebrew Bible, like the book of Daniel, is imbued with apocalypticism. The War Scroll and the Dead Sea Scrolls is a very apocalyptic text. Perhaps the most famous apocalyptic text of all time is the Book of Enoch, a book not included in either Christian or Jewish literature, but preserved, thank God, by the heroic people of Ethiopia, who have never been colonized, FYI, because they fight the devil to have not happen. Brilliant tacticians. There's all these writings that are so in Judaism. So anytime I think about what the Ethiopian people have done to preserve what they've done. So what's going to also happen, and we'll get to this next time, is that apocalypticism is also going to give rise to a new form of mysticism called the Merkaba mysticism, which we'll be discussing next time. How do you get this vision? How do you go see what God has to show you, or what angels have to show you? Well, spiritual techniques were developed for this, and a new form of mysticism arose as a subset of apocalypticism in which mystics describe going into God's palaces and being shown this stuff. We'll get to them next week. It's scary. As you might imagine, that's Apocalyptic Judaism, right, and Rabbinical Judaism, however, never quite saw eye to eye. The rabbis never fully embraced apocalypticism, right? Because the rabbis are all about the day-to-day keeping on of religious survival, not the titanic battle at the end, right? The rabbis are more like, how do we do Judaism now the temple's destroyed? How do we move the temple into our home? And the apocalyptic people out there being like, God's going to judge you people tomorrow. Right? So, in many ways, apocalyptic Judaism was never quite meshed with rabbinical Judaism. And again, one famous quote from the Talmud, right? It says that for every time you try to calculate when the Messiah will come, God delays the coming of the Messiah the years that you calculate in the future. The rabbis don't like this, right? When Rabbi Akiva said, right, that Shimon Bar Kokhba is the Messiah and will save us all, the other rabbis make fun of him. They're like, grass will grow in your cheeks before the Messiah comes. Like, that's not going to happen. Unfortunately, grass didn't grow in his cheeks because he didn't get buried because he was burned alive for supporting the Bar Kokhba rebellion. So
Sometimes it's truth mean, right? The apocalyptic is very, very dangerous. But it was incredibly popular. On the screen right now is a short list of all the apocalyptic literature from this time period. If I were to grab my collection of apocalyptic literature off the shelf, it would be longer than the Hebrew Bible. An enormous amount of literature, right, was produced in the apocalyptic genre. Dozens of books that were very popular. For instance, at the Dead Sea Scrolls, there are more copies of the Book of Enoch than there are copies of Leviticus. That's Torah, folks. That's like the Torah. The Torah. There are more copies of the Book of Enoch there, right? They're more interested in Enoch. If we can take the amount of scrolls they had, right, as a occasion. So the apocalyptic is incredibly important. And even in Christianity, it just stopped being produced. We have dozens of Christian apocalyptic texts, right, including the Apocalypse of John, but other ones. You might be asking why. Well, Jesus had that pesky habit of not coming back soon enough. And Christians underwent turmoil too. They were being persecuted by the Roman Empire. They were being marginalized by the Jewish people that didn't really like them. They thought they were weird. They faced an all turmoil. Jesus wasn't coming back, and people started dying. Well, what do we do with people dying and Jesus not coming back? Year after year after year. Well, you invent further and further apocalyptic ideas about what's going on. And the persecutions are all part of the plan. Right? Martyrdom becomes a thing you should rush into because it's part of God's plan. Right? Part of God's plan. Of course, also in the Islamic literature, apocalypticism would also become enormously influential, and many apocalyptic Christian and Jewish ideas also make their appearance in the Quran. The Dajjal is a good example of a sort of antichrist character of the Battle of Gog and Magog, of the main battle at the end of the world, which occurs in the book of Daniel and is translated into the book of the Battle of Megiddo and the Christian literature. Even the return of Jesus and the resurrection of the dead, these are all apocalyptic ideas that also occur in Islam. So Islam is also deeply influenced, and in some sense, an apocalyptic religion in itself. Judaism is going to increasingly abandon apocalypticism. And the answer for that is the same answer why the book of Maccabees is not included in the Bible. The rabbis, right, and also, by the way, why the Hanukkah festival is not about the Maccabees, it's about a miracle. The reason why? Disastrous rebellion after disastrous rebellion. The rabbis didn't want any more Rambos. They were tired of that machismo, we're going to fight the Roman stuff, because it just got us killed. So they said, we're not doing that anymore, and we're not going to prioritize that. And so, as you can imagine, this apocalyptic literature really gears people up to do rather extreme things, right? Because, again, they all think it's part of the plan, and God's going to intervene in history and do whatever. And it doesn't happen. Over and over and over again, it doesn't come to pass. But the rabbis don't like this, and they think it's dangerous, and they marginalize it. And eventually, rabbinical Judaism, right, moves past apocalyptic literature, and very little of it gets produced. Well, not so much. Very little gets produced in the aftermath of the 135 rebellion by Bar Kokhba, but there is some, right? There are some texts that do get produced, like the Apocalypse of the 10 Signs, and Perkei Mashiach, and things like this. So the literature does survive a little bit longer. Just to say, just to wrap up for tonight, as a mode of religiosity, I would argue is the most enduring mode of religiosity in the world today. So enduring that apocalyptic ideas have entered even into things like Buddhism, right? Apocalyptic ideas flowing from this tradition have even entered into things like Buddhism. Om Sharinko is a good example of an apocalyptic quasi-Buddhist sect. You may remember them for having poisoned the subway system in Japan with sarin gas in the 1990s as part of an apocalyptic agenda. To this day, in a 2012 poll, nearly 15% of people worldwide believe the world will end in their lifetime. That's millions of people, folks. That's hundreds of millions of people that believe the world's going to end in their lifetime. That's an apocalyptic idea, right? And apocalyptic sects are a huge part of American religiosity. One can think of the Branch Davidians out there in Waco, Texas, and other kinds of things. And again, of course, those folks who didn't stay in that building wasn't an apocalyptic understanding of history. And of course, that probably led to massacre by the U.S. government. They had their own hand to play in it too, but I do think that was pretty significant mismanagement. At any rate.
Well, rabbinical Judaism and Kabbalah are going to win the day over and against apocalypticism. Apocalypticism was a course of about 500 years, specifically, and it has made an enormous impact on religiosity. I might even argue, like I said earlier, that apocalypticism as a mode of religiosity is perhaps the dominant religious mode in the world today. Right? I would be willing to make that argument, I think. But what's going to emerge in terms of mysticism for the purposes of our learning together is that a form of apocalyptic, practical apocalypticism, that's to say, a mysticism in which mystics attempt to descend into the throne room of God, is going to emerge out of the apocalyptic literature. And that form of mysticism is going to be what we'll be tackling next week, called Merkabah mysticism. Merkabah, chariot mysticism. You also may know the word Merkabah because the Israelis have named a tank their equivalent of the M1 Abrams after the chariot of God, which just seems appropriate for a lot of reasons. But at any rate, on the screen right now are just some recommended readings. If you want to grab these ISBNs, and I also want to share these slides with everybody for the class so you can have access to the slides later. But if you want a great apocalyptic literature reader, it's just a collection of apocalyptic literature. This is a really great text by Reddish, scholar of apocalyptic in the world now. John Collins' book, The Apocalyptic Imagination, is the definitive study of apocalypse. It's the book, right? If you take a college level class of apocalypticism, you'd be reading Collins' book. If you're interested in Christian apocalypticism, Bernard McGinn, the leading scholar in Christian mysticism, has written a really great book about apocalyptic traditions in the Middle Ages. People like Joachim of Fior, who's nuts in the most amazing way possible. So John Reeves has published another text on Near Eastern apocalypticism, and this actually covers Jewish apocalypticism through the Middle Ages, which doesn't get much play, mostly because a lot of it's not been translated, but Reeves provides a great introduction to that literature, which is also forms of apocalypticism that survive into Jewish apocalypticism that survives into the Middle Ages. So, again, another form of mysticism that emerges from the breakdown of prophecy, but renovates me to do a phenomenally different task, to show rather than tell, and show what? The whole plan of the universe, and how you, as a Jew, right, or as a non-Jew, maybe as a Roman, how you fit into it, right? And that form of mysticism, I think, is just incredibly important. Christianity, maybe the world or whatever, none of this is imaginable without the apocalyptic turn in Judaism during beginning in the 4th century BC. Welcome back, and thank you for joining me as I explore the garden that is Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. Again, if you'd like to support my work, I'm providing accessible, free, and scholarly content on topics like Kabbalah, alchemy, and the occult, along with magic, hermetic philosophy. Consider supporting my work on Patreon, or perhaps with a one-time donation. You can find those links below. Until next time, I'm Dr. Justin Sledge, and thank you for watching Esoterica, where we explore the arcane in history, philosophy, and religion.
So, whenever comes to maybe by your so you should only call so when you have something where you will not come in. All right.
Coming to you live from the Rothschild Comedy Store for a brand new episode of Kill Tony 5-3. Get up for Tony Hinchcliffe.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. Oh, my goodness. I am so excited to be back with you in the most... Wait, we're the #1 live podcast in the world.
Yeah.
Sometimes even I forget the #1 ranked live podcast in the world. And you are here at its home in the belly room. Every other week we're in the main room. But sometimes it's just more fun to play in a shoebox. You know what I mean? Just get all right on top of one another so you can get close to the action. Put your hands together for my co-pilot and all this fun. The one, the only Brian Redband.
What's up, guys?
Here. As you can tell, he's on sound effect duty tonight. We have Jamie Vernon, young Jamie, on the great HD camera, and the one and the only Ryan J. Ebelt, house artist, drawing tonight's episode. You're not going to believe it. At the end of the episode, we're going to show you an unbelievable piece of art that was drawn right now while you people are all sitting there watching a show being lazy fucks. Ryan's drawing the entire episode. And if you couldn't tell, live audience, because you were here when they were playing, we have a band that I have to bring back out each time when the show starts for some reason. It's always fun to watch their intros, always something original and different. Here they are, the Kill Tony Band. It's Reagan and Watkins and Joel Jimenez. Fuck yeah! They always wait until the applause die all the way out. Here they are, Reagan and Watkins and Joel Jimenez.
Oh, hey, pals.
So this is like some kind of anti-war stance you guys are taking tonight, right?
Yeah, we're getting pretty political on Kill Tony tonight.
Now, what are those helmets you guys are wearing? Because they look like coffee filters, camouflage coffee filters.
You get official World War I sanctioned trench helmets.
And then Joel is just wearing a bunch of seaweed.
It's a ghillie suit. It's a camouflage suit for jungle territory.
Tactical attacks.
All right, well, hopefully we'll see some of that tonight. Put your hands together for Reagan and Watkins, everybody. Every single week, I have two of the funniest comedians in the world on this show. This one is what I would call super duper special. Put your hands together for two of the best in the world. The one, the only, Big J. Okerson and Joe DeRosa. Yeah! Fuck yeah! Here they are. Joe DeRosa, you've done this show before. Welcome.
I have.
Big J, I have wanted you to do this show for 3 years, and now New York comic and super duper friend Big J. Okerson is live on Kill Tony, ladies and gentlemen.
I only did it because Jeremiah playing saxophone is my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know why, just the fact that he knows how to play saxophone makes me smart.
Mine too.
I do like that. It's bothering me how much better your intro was than mine. Jesus Christ, Tony. I've been here before, but you can act a little happy.
Joe, I'm excited that you're back.
Thanks.
I've been
Also, Joe's here.
Joe, you've done this before, but this other motherfucker right here, if I could suck his dick, I would.
Well, the undisputed master of disaster.
The undisputed comedy king.
Joe, I'm happy that you're here too.
Thank you, buddy. It's always good to see you.
Always good to see you. You guys work together on the cover show.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's Jay's show.
Yeah.
We're talking about it, What's Your Fucking Deal? It's on CSO.com. All crowd work. I bring up my favorite comics. Joe DeRosa being one of those. One of my favorite comics in the whole world. Does it make you feel better? I'm trying to make you feel better.
It does.
He's handsome. I just had to rock a sweater.
Do I have another whiskey on ice?
Whiskey on ice.
Tony said to just order through the mic if I wanted one. I already want one.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah, I need one.
I guess you're going to go grab it. Yeah, another one of these things.
All right.
Can we do that?
Yeah, what do you want? Kool-Aid or something?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Jeremiah, you don't ever drink, right?
Nope, clean as a whistle.
Why don't you cheers?
Like that great.
Why don't you drink?
Never have.
Never have?
Yeah.
I don't trust people like you.
All right.
I don't trust anybody that's like, I don't need the stuff. I don't know what to tell you. It's like, really, you look at this world and you go, don't need to fuck that up at all. Looks good to me. No, I don't trust you. Something's wrong. You're lying.
Joe, he finds happiness in the alto sax.
Well,
flats are my drugs.
Well, my drug's right here.
The only cocktail I need is a nice melon.
Joe, I'm so excited you're back.
Thank you, buddy.
So, we have a bucket here filled with a shit ton of comedians, guys. They all signed up for the chance to do 60 seconds and then talk to us live on a podcast afterwards. Comedians, you know your 60 seconds is up when you hear the sound of a kitty. It's adorable. That means wrap it up then, or else you're going to bring out the angriest Hollywood bear. Then for you podcast fans that are just listening to shit, would love that part. So let's get this thing started. You guys ready? This is Kill Tony. Episode 161. Anything can happen, as we found out last week. Together, 60 seconds uninterrupted for Michelle Westford.
Hey, everybody. Oh, is this on? So you guys got engaged. Yes, that was 6 years ago yesterday. And I personally want to thank Facebook Memories for reminding me about that solid in my life. So I'm single. I should have known things weren't going to work out. He started buying me passive-aggressive presents, like a 6-month subscription to Match.com. And because I put my friend in there, and aside from doing comedy, guys, I'm a professional auctioneer. Like, hey, give me $100 bid, now two, what you get for it? But I wrote in the S key are dangerously close. So apparently there's like about 800 people in the greater LA area that want to go out with a suctioneer. So thank you guys.
Fuck yeah. Michelle Westford. You seem like an interesting spirit. You're wearing a Monster Energy t-shirt with a biker jacket. You have a motorcycle?
I do. I have a Harley 883.
Oh my god, an 883. Wow, you just made my boner go away.
It's got a 1200 kit on it.
Oh, it does.
It does?
Wow. Seriously?
Wow, what is that?
Yeah, really, I have no idea what any of those things. She's twice the man I'll ever be.
Yeah, exactly. Michelle, yes. So you said that there's the Horse of Truth coming in really late on that one.
All right.
I mean, just 7 seconds after the fact. Michelle, tell us what's so extreme about you? What else? I mean, you're wearing a Monster Energy shirt. I get the feeling that a motorcycle is like the 7th most exciting thing about you.
All right. So yeah, I ride motorcycles. Like I said, I'm an auctioneer, which people usually don't guess because they expect someone like looks like I don't know, Colonel Sanders or something, you know. So like people are like, oh, you're an auctioneer.
How long have you been doing that?
5 years.
How does that start? Did you have to take a class for that?
I apprenticed under a gal who's been doing auctions for 20
the word apprentice.
I thought you were going to say gal at the end of that.
I learned from the best auction.
Yes, there's a gal from Charity Auction World, and I apprenticed under her for 2 years, and I went to auction school in St. Louis, Missouri.
Wow, that's probably the only place that has an auction school. So,
is there a reason why everyone sticks with the same voice and kind of like a strip club DJ always sounds like
It's what's called a chant, and so it's kind of the same as someone singing to you. It's a serenade, and so there's like a skill to it. All right, now.
How cool is it though? How cool is it that chicks have finally broken into the auctioneer world?
I love it.
I mean, that's progressive.
Can you say it less misogynistic?
She's like the Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Oh, you dingy broads are doing auctioning now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I sell.
Pretty cool, mama.
I'll sell it to you.
I'm surprised you gals can remember all the info with those tiny brains.
No, don't say that, Joe.
Where do you find time to not vote? Ow!
Yeah, that's amazing. It's great that you've broken ground in that world. You're like the Hillary Clinton of auctioneering, except with a lot less deleted emails.
Yeah. Except your pantsuit is a tiny jacket and Monster Energy shirt.
Yeah.
Here's my question. This is a real question. Are you truly engaged for 6 months?
I was engaged, but I've been single for about a year and a half now.
Okay. This is comedy advice. As soon as you said I got engaged, I started looking for the ring.
I know. That's why I hide my hand a little bit so people don't.
Keep it in the pocket.
Yeah.
And you should also say once you take the hand out, be like, it's over. Like it's fucking done.
It is over.
Yeah. You should go a little farther into that.
It's totally over.
You did pitch it though, like I thought you were still engaged. It was just taking a long time. That's a boner kill for the room.
What was this guy's story? Was he like some kind of like super tough guy, beard, tattoos, right?
Yeah.
Bodybuilder? Firefighter. Fuck yeah.
You gotta know.
See, there's only certain types of guys that can even please a woman wearing a Monster Energy shirt. You understand?
She did present that like they were in the same sort, like you were close.
Right, yeah, totally.
Bodybuilder, just like firefighter.
Yeah. All those guys do is lift weights all day.
That's why it didn't work out, because you guys are too similar. Opposites attract. As Paul Abdul once said, you gotta start fucking a cartoon cat.
Yeah. Get a little sidecar.
Who also raps. You gotta rap.
Get a little sidecar for your kid.
I thought you fucked Joe DeRosa. He's very opposite.
What am I, a piece of meat?
You should fuck Joe. You should fuck Joe. You should fuck Joe.
Yeah.
You should fuck Joe.
Is that possible for you to go from a firefighter to a postman?
Anything's possible.
Oh shit, he's loading up over here.
Because your face has been annoying me since I sat down here. You look like Liberace right at the end.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, you got the AGest face I've ever seen.
You son of a bitch.
Go fucking blow me. Actually, don't, because you look AIDS.
You can't get AIDS from getting a blowjob, Joe.
I heard that Joe should really switch back to Sprint. Did you guys know that? Oh,
thanks, Jeremiah, for coming to my defense there.
Don't you mess with Tony!
Did you just go back with Sprint?
I think he's making a joke. Like the Verizon guy.
Yeah. Oh!
Yeah.
Do we have to spell out the genius?
Sorry, I was going to ask Joe if he needed some help. You need some help?
No, Sprint. I'm AT&T all the way.
Hey.
AT&T, but he still does eat Subway constantly.
Tony, you can get a blowjob or you can get AIDS from a blowjob.
Oh, okay.
No, you can't. Yeah, you can. You get a bloody dick and a bloody mouth. What's going to happen?
Oh, okay. Who's the girl who's going around being like, oh, a bloody dick? Love love to suck that thing.
Right.
No, I mean, I
It
can
just
open
so
the door.
happens I have a bloody mouth. It's, oh my God, what is happening right now? Oh no, don't do this, Michelle. You are not young enough. You are not young enough to be
Why are the
smashing
sound
in this
effects
moment.
so horribly loud? Lower them a little bit.
Why are the sound effects hurt?
Well, I think you're lovely. I hope you meet another guy that you get engaged to. I really do. And I'm just trying to wrap it up because clearly Tony doesn't know how to host his own podcast.
Wait, what did you say that?
Have we spent too much time? So we need to move on to the next issue?
No,
Like 27 comics?
Who does it? No, we don't go through the whole bucket. That's not how it works, Joe. I mean, I'm about to get rid of her, but
I'm not trying to get rid of her. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna let Big J get one more thing in, and then
okay. All right.
this is how it works.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Joe, you questioned Tony again? We're stepping out to the parking lot, bro.
Oh, you don't want to fight a sax player, dude.
Yeah.
He's got six fiddle energy.
Yeah. You don't want to fuck with guys wearing camouflage yarmulkes.
With chin straps. I dare you, Joe. Today's the day? Today's the going to test that out?
Hey, I'm feeling it today.
Let me ask you one last thing, Michelle, for like a new love. Are you on any of these dating sites or anything like that?
I tried one out, but I just would rather meet people like organically.
Well, where do you go to meet people organically when you're not?
You just, I don't know, you just live your life and go out and do stuff that you enjoy doing.
Do you go to biker bars?
No, I did. No.
What were you going to say? Something weird happened.
I did meet a guy while I was on a motorcycle ride that asked me out, but I didn't want to go out.
Wow. Why not yelling over the motorcycle?
Hey, you want to go out sometime? Well, so we like stopped at this place and they were all there. It was a bike. Okay, it's a biker bar.
Jesus.
But I didn't go there for that. Huh?
Just don't get a 1200 pack on your bike. Where the fuck's that?
No.
1,200 kids.
1,200 kids?
What? Okay. It just means it's a really fast bike.
I figured that's what it meant. Nobody's
All
thinking about their
right.
slow bike. Nobody's like, it's got a 400 torque.
I'll fuck you if you give me a sidecar. If you give me a sidecar, I'll fuck.
Now I gotta negotiate?
No, I just want to cruise around in a sidecar.
Alright. We sort of fun for that? Can I raise some money for that?
Yeah, no. Go.
Okay.
Michelle.
Get thrown over here.
Joe. Welcome back to the show, Joe. When I first brought you up.
What's he drawing?
He draws every episode.
He draws every episode.
Hey, Joe, let's break down all the barriers of this show.
What's the deal with the bucket?
Jeremiah, keep it up. I'm gonna cut your throat with this fucking sword. You'll never play that little fucking flute of yours again.
Michelle, I'm gonna keep you out of harm's way. Michelle Westford, everybody, there she goes. She's on Twitter at Michelle's Comedy. Getting tonight kick-started.
Great job.
There you go. Fuck yeah, Michelle Westford. Whew.
This is fun, man.
like a sultan, but dance for me.
It's crazy, right?
Michelle, it's over.
Michelle coming back for a glass of red
Fuck
wine.
out of here, you attention hog.
You fucking asshole.
Say shit, you give her 60 seconds.
She's drinking red wine, too. I don't trust her on the motorcycle after drinking. I like it. It's crazy stuff. And pulled another name out of the bucket. Handwriting, not that great. That's always a pretty interesting sign. Put your hands together for Phil Kemp.
Hey, so a lot of women don't want to fuck me. Probably because I do a really good impersonation of Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings. In the bedroom, while having sex, I'll be in there like, Glass, my precious will come. It gives me the blues, so I'll do this bit for y'all called the Schmeagol Blues. Unless I want the precious, or I would want some back. Unless I want the precious like it's a fat rock and crack. And if I don't get that precious, I'ma break them hobbits' neck. Oh, the rock is nice and cool. I'm Juicy
sir, Kenny. Oh, my precious. Yes, sir. Some more. And if I don't get my precious, I'll smoke some pussy pie.
Fuck yeah, Phil Kemp, everybody. Phil Kemp. Woo. Fuck yeah, I think we know who it's fucking tonight.
Wow, that Spiegel voice you did was awesome. Where did you learn how to do it?
Oh, please.
Oh, Spiegel battle! Spiegel battle!
Everybody's doing the one voice that they know.
This is we're on 8 Mile Road in the fucking Shire, y'all.
Yeah, this is it.
Bill Cosby came and talked to Joe. Hey, Joe,
And then Jack Nicholson showed up, right, folks? Hold on, let me turn around and turn back as Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the Spiegel.
Overall, I'd say that's a pretty good performance, Phil.
Sucker for a pun.
I love it. What's your story? How long have you been in Los Angeles?
24 hours. He went from the Orlando club shooting.
Jesus Christ. Whoa. Hell yeah. We get over things real quick here. All right.
What's that buzz?
Oh, that's what happened. Phil single-handedly wrecked the audio of the show.
All right. Well, I've been in Los Angeles for about a month now, and so
where are you from?
I'm from Mississippi River, where you sail down with Huckleberry Finn.
I love that Pat normally is pretty reserved, but if somebody pulls out a harmonica in this show,
I got a holder too. Don't you compare yourself to Pat Reagan? Shut up. Don't you tell me to shut up. Joe DeRosa and I will murder you.
Phil, stick with me over here. Phil, everything's okay. You're on a big crazy live show right now. I know we don't have podcasts from wherever you're from, but just stick. Where is it that you're from?
I am from Bakersfield, California.
Yes. That's why. Now it all makes sense. You just got Lord of the Rings up there, doing some of those topical DVD Lord of the Rings jokes.
No one's cranking out shit.
What's a DVD, dude?
Do you know what Bakersfield is? Have you been made aware as a New York guy through and through what Bakersfield is?
I went on tour opening for Coordinates.
Outdated band drop.
Phil looks like he opens for corn.
Yes, recently.
Phil Kemp opens for corn, the vegetable.
AIDS, my AIDS.
Now, folks, I'll never forget when I was on the road with Winger. Those were good times. God damn it.
I got it.
Nobody got it.
Phil,
It's too old of a
Just
reference.
a third eye blind. Would have been a wave of laughter.
Phil, you're an interesting guy. What do you do for work?
I actually play my guitar, banjo, and stream online on the site called Soundclock.com.
And you live in the house next to Tom Hanks in the Burbs?
No, not yet. Dude, I'm lucky to find a couch.
Thank you, 6 people that saw the Burbs. So do people pay you to play? Is that, let's say you're like a webcam slave?
They're paying me like $15 an hour to play. I know, right?
Well, why did you bring this but you didn't play?
Because you guys give me 1 minute.
See, don't you snap at Joe DeRosa!
Phil, over here. Whoa, are you serious? Are you seriously mad, Phil? No. Are you playing a character?
Dude, I'm under a lot of stress right now.
What's the stress? Let's talk about it.
Say so. I don't mean to come in here. I don't want to come in here and slap my East Coast dick down on the table. But I don't think you guys out here have a good read on shit.
I wouldn't even slap on the table.
Buddy, I'm with you. I'm on your team. See? That's what you do. I can tell by the handwriting here that Phil wrote his name with a fist.
That's the best my handwriting gets.
He came here with a fucking banjo and abandoned the bit. Gotta carry it all night. I see the signs that let's just tell this guy great job and let him get the fuck on with it. No! You killed it. Couldn't have went better. Tony,
do stand up?
Like almost every night.
Wow. I love that. So you make money online during the day.
And then I go do stand up at night. I basically perform for 8 hours of the day, and then I'll like go do it 5 whatever cool shit at night. You know, and then I on Saturday I'm having my live album release party in Ventura, California.
Can we hear something, Del Taco?
You want what? You want to hear one?
Yeah, I would love to hear like a quick little ditty.
A little ditty.
Yeah. I think it's an AK-47.
You fuckers are clapping this. Just, if you trust nothing else, I'm only